Let me turn. It's going to be a minute, about 60 seconds before the show goes live. So bear with me here. And good evening for anybody watching this. Chances are you're going to be watching it on the reruns right now because nobody's filtered in yet. Asking if Trump is the best president ever, or some folks are saying that the guy might actually be a racist. Wow. So we're going to talk about it from both ways, and I do want to hear your opinions on this once I get my streams going. So one more streaming will be up on Instagram. We're going to be on YouTube and, of course, TikTok. So if you will bear with me for about a minute so I get my last stream up. It's going to be kind of an open forum today as well. We're going to be tackling it from a standpoint of how divided America is and what can we do to somewhat become more unified. Is that something that can be done under President Trump? Or are we in a position where people just despise Trump so much, as some folks say Trump derangement syndrome or whatever you want to call it? Are we at a place where people dislike Trump so much that there is zero hope for unity, at least for the remainder of Trump's president in that aspect? In the comments, somebody says delusional moron. I got to put on my spectacles so I can't read the damn comments. Came from Blove CU. All right, fair enough. Blove, thank you for your input. You know we don't block, ban, or censor, so feel free to state your case. But I don't know, when you say delusional and you say moron, you got room to type a lot more than that, sir. So feel free to state it. I'll address your comment. You don't have to be afraid here. It's zero censorship. What do we say all the time? We're MAGA friendly. We're MAGA friendly. So state your comment, delusional moron, whatever the hell you're trying to say. Feel free to elaborate on that and we'll tackle it. I'm almost done getting the other streams up and we will be going live shortly. So just responding to somebody who referred to me as a delusional moron. And by the way, hello or good afternoon, Anaya. Good evening. I think is that what that's called? I don't like butchering names. Like I said, looked like I saw Anaya in there. So there you go. Give me a moment here to get this last stream up and we should be able to get the party going. Okay, Anaya. So thank you. You're welcome there, Anaya. Good evening to you. So what do you think, Anaya? Do you think we can unite this country under Trump? You see the live stream is titled, is Trump the best president we've ever had, or is he a racist? I'm hearing both of those, and I'm asking that question because I've been on social media quite a bit today, and my God, I've seen a lot of folks saying exactly both of those, that he's the best ever and that he's a racist. It's amazing at how many folks I'm seeing that is saying that. So we're going to talk about that. What are the fascist MAGA pedal? Where are the give it time? Somebody says, where are the fascists? What do you say? Fascist MAGA pedal Nazis. Damn, that is a mouthful. I'll just respond by saying, give it time. Everybody you want to be here inevitably will. We get everybody on this program because we don't block, ban, or censor. So give it a moment. You'll probably get what you are seeking. Okay, so we should be up in a minute. He's a racist to his heart. Damn. You know, it's interesting you say that. Singer, songwriter John Legend. Now, we're not live on all of the platforms yet, but I'll let you hear this real quick and then we'll go live.
Throughout his
There we go.
life, that he believes black people are inferior. Like he believes that in his bones. He wouldn't let us live in his buildings back in the day. But also, when you hear some of the stray comments he makes, he clearly believes in a genetic hierarchy of humanity and is racially determined. So he is a tried and true, like dyed in the wool racist. Like in the core of his being, he's a racist. So
that's literally what you just said. Who said that? That is literally what you just said. In his heart or something like that. I mean, that's literally that's the only reason why I played it because it matched so well. Find my clock overhead. I'm ready to go live. Now, if I can find my last piece of the puzzle, and I'm not finding it. Shit. Okay, we're gonna have to go live without a clock, apparently. Give me 1 second. I hate going live when I'm not 100% prepared, and right now is that situation because I don't have my. Oh fuck. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do it then without the clock if we have to, and from what I can tell, I don't have my clock controller. So, all right. Okay, we'll just do it without the clock today. I like to put a clock my guest so I know what's going on and I don't want to have to go through the process of tearing everything apart to find my clock controller. So without the oh, we got it. There we go. All right. So we're ready now. Okay. So I'll go ahead and cue up the program. What it says, us real black people don't vote for that pedophile Trump. Damn. All right. Let me go ahead and start the program in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'm going to make sure I switch everything over to Wi-Fi so we can have a decent program running here. All right, we're going to be talking about this from a standpoint of it's been a busy day online for me today, and I've heard a lot of comments today on social media and things like that. One of them being and I don't know why my computer's all slow as it is. I gotta bring the new computer down here. But anyway, I've been hearing from many suggesting that President Trump is the best president we've ever had. And I do want to tackle it from that standpoint. I want to hear from you folks. Do you indeed believe Trump, what is he, number 47? He was also 45. So that means we've had 46 presidents in total, I suppose, if I'm correct, considering he's 47 and 45. So maybe even less than that because Grover Cleveland also was a split president just like Trump. So he won, lost, and then won again later on, too. So maybe it's not even 46. I think about 45 presidents we've had throughout history, I think, if I'm correct. Because Trump is the second president to get a second term with a gap in the middle. So I believe we've had 45 presidents total. But out of all of those presidents, we're talking about Trump potentially being the best we have ever had to do it. There's a lot of folks that are saying President Trump is the best we've ever had. However, there are also no shortage, and I'm saying best because I've seen people all over the internet, been watching a lot of social media today, all over the internet, people are saying this guy's the best president we've ever had. They have their reasons. We'll talk about that. We'll certainly talk about if he is indeed the best president, and if so, why? What makes Trump better than every president we've had? And we can tackle that from a standpoint of out of all of the presidents since George Washington, or from a standpoint of out of all of the presidents in our lifetime. Because I do believe there's going to be a lot more of you that believe Trump is the best president in our lifetime as opposed to in American history. So we're going to talk about it from both standpoints. However, there's a flip side to the coin. There is a flip side to the coin. In addition to a whole lot of people believing Trump is the best president we've ever had, there's plenty of people that believe the guy is a racist. I've seen that all over social media today, as well as folks that are saying he's the best. And oddly enough, this is what happens when you have a For You page where you talk to people from all sides of the aisle. You know, when I say I'm MAGA friendly and we don't block, ban, or censor anyone, that's how my social media pages are set up. So I get plenty of content from liberals and conservatives, progressives and far right. That's why I'm hearing he's the best president, and I'm also hearing he is a racist, which I invite all of you folks to hear commentary from all sides of the aisle. Don't just listen to people who agree with you. You should hear the other side. I do encourage you to do that. And because I am open to all sides, I get it from everywhere. So today I've heard a lot of both. He's the best president we've ever had, and he is also a racist. I want to hear from you folks why you think President Trump represents either avenue. If he's the best, I want to hear that. If he's a racist, I want to hear that as well, and why you think that. Also, in addition to discussing what type of president Trump is, and I guess we will also end up talking about his legacy in addition to that. There's also DC is continuing to be in the news. I think if for folks who claim that Trump was looking for an Epstein diversion, Washington DC has been a very successful effort at diverting the media's attention. That's going to, at least for the next 30 days, that's probably going to dilute any conversation in regards to in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. Nevertheless, this came out in the news, and we're going to certainly be talking about this straight out of Washington, D.C.
Regarding the president's efforts in Washington, D.C., do you have any specifics about how homeless people will be dealt with, where they would be moved to? What does this look like?
I do, yes, and it's an important question, so thank you for raising it. The Metropolitan Police Department, with the support of the new federal agencies who have been surging on the streets of the District of Columbia, are going to enforce the laws that are already on the books here in Washington, D.C. For far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city. So D.C. Code 22-1307 and D.C. Municipal Regulation 24-100 give the Metropolitan Police Department the authority to take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time. Again, these are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced, which is part of the reason for this nationalizing of the federalized.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt Carol and leave it there. But what do you think? Do you think that this is, obviously the goal is to make D.C. look better. I think Trump can easily do that by getting rid of the homeless and reducing crime. But just like with securing the border, it's always the way it is done as opposed to what you are doing. And I want to ask you folks, do you think this will be beneficial to the homeless in D.C.? Do you think they will benefit by what President Trump is doing? Or do you think it will be a detriment to their freedom, to their existence? I'll certainly like to hear from you folks, because President Trump is certainly talking about getting the homeless out of D.C. Now, it's not just him talking about doing it, but it's also, as I stated, how he's talking about doing it, suggesting that the homeless have to leave D.C. and go far away. Now, I'm not aware of what the definition of far away means. I mean, is that 5 miles, 50 miles? I mean, what does that mean?
Hosted a press conference today to address homelessness and violent crime in the nation's capital. The president took to social media Sunday, warning homeless people in the nation's capital to leave immediately.
He says he has a plan for the city's, quote, beautification. Andrew Perez is in the newsroom with more on this.
That's right, Eric. Michaela, President Trump says he's unveiling a new plan for Washington, D.C. today. All of this follows threats to assert more federal control over our nation's capital. In his announcement, he said, quote, "I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately." He also promised to give homeless people places to stay, but that it would be far from the capital. It's unclear at this point what the president's plan includes, but a source says he's been sending FBI agents on patrol with local officers. He can take over the district's police force in certain...
So he's sending out FBI agents. I guess there would be more like law enforcement snitches to find out where the homeless are staying and things like that. Now, you heard the reporter say far away from the city. So what do? You forcibly put them on buses? I mean, do you pass anti-loitering laws? I mean, if a person is walking around on the street at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because a homeless person can start just moving. If you're homeless and you don't want to be caught up in what Trump is doing, then you walk the streets at night until you can get away from the police and find a bush or something to lay in. So that probably means loitering is going to be enforced. Anti-loitering laws, you know, if you're on the street at 3 o'clock in the morning expect the cops, especially if you don't look, like you're going anywhere, you don't look like you have a lot of money, expect to be snatched up by law enforcement, at the very least detained and questioned as to your existence. Why are you here? Expect that to happen. That's how it goes. Because the homeless are probably, we know for certain, all of the homeless are not going to agree with this. They don't all want to be put into Trump's far and away plan. So most likely they're going to be enforcing loitering laws. If they don't have them on the books, they're going to probably come up with some of them or something like that. Now, before I start taking calls and going in the box, most likely I'm thinking Trump will succeed at making Washington, D.C. cleaner and better. I could also, now I'm going to go a step further and say I could also see this ending up with some regentrification of that area. Because if you get rid of the crime and you get rid of the homelessness, you're going to increase the desire to be there and live there. And that's going to raise up the rents. And obviously with the area being a large portion of it being minorities, they're not going to be able to afford to live there anymore. So it's possible that some of DC could end up being regentrified. You guys know what I'm trying to say. I'm having a damn biting moment. Anyway, it's possible that could happen. If you clean up the city and all of that type of stuff, and certainly if you're harassing people for loitering and shit like that, people are not going to want to be there. Those people are not going to want to be there. You can make the area so undesirable that people do not want to be there. Very similar to what Alligator Alcatraz is supposed to do. The goal of Alligator Alcatraz is when you're there, you're filing an appeal, you've been grabbed up for being in the country illegally or overstaying your visa or being here undocumented or your TPS or asylum claims have been denied. So you file an appeal. While you are waiting for your appeal to come to court, you are being detained. The goal is to put you in a facility that is so uncomfortable, so draconian, that as opposed to waiting for your appeal date, you just say, fuck it, I'll just go ahead and self-deport and go home, as opposed to living like this, living in these conditions until my appeal pops up in 6, 8, 9 months. The goal is to incentivize you to self-deport. That could happen in DC if you start, accosting people and harassing folks that are loitering and just treat them like crap. You could cause a lot of folks to, homeless in particular, to self-deport out of the area. That's likely what probably is the goal. Anyway, looking in the comments, MAGA are cowards. Damn. Somebody says MAGA is cowards. You guys are starting out awful already. By the way, tap the screen. Get the likes on up to 10,000. I appreciate that. 90% of homeless have warrants? Really? And are holding illegal drugs. Arrest them, easy peasy. You believe 90% of the homeless population have warrants? You think it's that high? I don't know about that. That's pretty fucking high. 90%? Now, in addition to you saying that they're holding illegal drugs, a lot of them are narcotics users, but I don't think 90% of them have warrants. That's really, really high. Let me go straight to the box. We'll start the program off with Stick Darula. Good evening, Stick. 90%. Do you think it's that high? 90% of the homeless have warrants?
Hell no, man. That dude was just talking shit out of the side of his mouth. He don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Well, but I mean, it is true that a lot of them are carrying narcotics, though, right?
No, I wouldn't say that either, because you got a lot of veterans that are in there, and a lot of them do have mental issues, right?
Okay.
Whether it be initially, and that's why they're homeless, or whether it be over time, being homeless for so long, they develop mental issues.
Yeah, but even veterans can get strung out on drugs. Would you not agree?
And I would say yes, they can, but not at 90%. That's a damn lie.
That's pretty high. That's pretty high.
I'm not gonna do that. That's too damn high. Yeah. No, and no. But I'm glad that you're talking about what you're talking about with Trump and DC and the National Guard.
Yeah.
The one that he actually couldn't call. It was supposed to be on Nancy.
Yeah, you know something? I've made several videos about that. Obviously, Trump lied about not being able to deploy the National Guard on January 6th. And now folks in defense of Trump are changing it up from he didn't say he could not deploy them. He said he offered, or they're just, I mean, like, why the hell would you offer your political enemy the choice of whether to provide security at your event? Why would you, if you have the power to provide the National Guard, why the hell would you punt that to your number one political enemy being Nancy Pelosi? That makes no sense at all. But if you're in the camp of defending Trump blindly, you got to throw whatever you can out there.
Oh yeah, what does make sense is he didn't call him because just like he had told, I think, one of his Secret Service agents, okay, they're armed, but they're not here for me. They're not here to do anything to me.
Yeah.
So in other words, you knew that there were people out there with, said pew-pews or whatever that they had, and you told them because you already knew they're not here to do anything to me. So I'm good. So being that he was good and being that those were his people, why do he have to call the National Guard? That's what you have to ask yourself. So he didn't have to call the National Guard because they weren't there for him, and they were there for Nancy Pelosi, Pence, and anybody else.
Yeah, but Stick, here's the problem with this. When this stuff happened, and I remember watching Judge Jeanine Pirro, who's now part of the Trump administration. She's on Fox News that evening saying that was Antifa doing that. Obviously, there are plenty of people that say the FBI is what incentivized the riots on January 6th. Others have even went so far as to say it was Black Lives Matter. So here's my question. If you don't know who's in the crowd, how the hell can you be so certain that they're there for you? Other than the Antifa Black Lives Matter thing is a lie. I mean, because he himself stated, they're not here to cause any harm for me. So you're right. It came out during the January 6th hearings that Trump was not afraid of that crowd, up to and including suggesting go to the Capitol and I'll be there with you. Why would you go to the Capitol building with a bunch of Antifa and Black Lives Matter members? So obviously he knew those were his people, just completely trashing the notion that it was Antifa or BLM or even the FBI.
Well, not only that, you pardoned them.
And that too. Yeah.
If there was so much Antifa and any other group that he said, Black Lives Matter, whatever, why did you pardon them? Yeah. Why didn't you take a hard line like old Hot Wheels in Texas towards, remember,
you're talking about Governor Abbott, Hot Wheels, in likes of what is her name? Jasmine Crockett. You're going with that, right?
Yeah. So why didn't he remember the thing happened with the Black Lives Matter man? He was actually a white man, and he walked up to the car just to tell the dude, hey, watch out, we're having a parade, blah, blah, blah. But the dude pulled out a pew-pew and unalived the man, right?
I didn't hear about that. What are you talking about?
Abbott wants to give him a pardon, or has already given him a pardon.
Are you talking about Daniel Penny?
I think so.
Yeah, he's already pardoned him. Yeah, I've done videos on that. That guy's already out. Yeah, he pardoned him.
So again, if you're so against Black Lives Matter, talking about Trump, why did you pardon them? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, Greg,
I mean, the thing is,
he don't like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, the thing is that January 6th did not go well, did not make Trump look well, and he was twisting and turning in any direction he could to try to spin it. And as we're talking about, you don't pardon Antifa, so, you don't pass it off to Nancy Pelosi, and then you're shown during your second term that you actually can deploy the National Guard. It's pretty clear that went bad, and Trump is trying to do everything he can. He was trying to do everything he can to spin it and make it sound, less awful than what it actually is. And as time has went on, it's come to show that most of the stuff he said about January 6th was not true.
Yeah.
If not all, by the way. If not all.
Yeah. So again, right, I'm just now getting back on lives, right? Because for TikTok purposes and educational purposes only, this is what I said, Tim. If you do something, you are what you have done, right?
Exactly. What do you mean? What do you mean?
I don't have to know.
Explain.
I'm finna explain it. I don't have to know that you did it. You know that you did it, right? So if I know that such and such day I lied, but nobody caught me in the lie, but I know I lied, I'm a liar, right? If I went to the store and I stole something and nobody knew that I stole it because I was so slick,
Okay.
I'm a thief. Okay, so with TikTok, they banned me because I said if Trump did those horrible, disgusting things to kids back when him and Epstein's were pals.
Okay.
He's a P3DO then, and he's a P3DO now. There's nothing wrong with me saying that if he did it.
Yeah, I mean,
You don't have to go to court to be proven to be a murderer. The guy in Utah, Moscow, he unalived all those little young college students.
yeah.
Drove away.
That's in Idaho. That's in Idaho.
Idaho. Now you tell me, Tim, was he a murderer when he did the deed, or was he a murderer now that he was convicted?
He was when he did the deed. I mean, but you have to be officially convicted. Otherwise, you have to say alleged.
No. I get what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is Trump knows who he is. He knows what he has done. He tries to tell everybody that he don't believe that he did anything that needs forgiveness. But as we see all the time and every day, he should at least say sorry to people. Like the citizens that get deported.
Yeah, but let's just be clear. I think we all realize that Trump does not apologize. I think he has openly admitted that he believes apologies make you appear weak. He doesn't apologize. I mean, for anything, no matter who the victims of what he did is, he doesn't apologize.
And so with that being said, which is sad commentary, with that being said, why aren't people waking up to see that this guy is a piece of shit loser?
Well,
like you'll say, I know, you'll say, well, for his base, he's a winner. Because, the borders.
No, that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is some folks readily admit that he doesn't have the best character. However, they're looking at the policies, and I'm trying to bring up a picture because I want to show you this. Fox News is showing some kind of transgender that's a registered sex offender, and the picture is awful. It's a black guy. My computer's going slow. You need to see this. I'll bring it up in a minute, but I think what Trump supporters will say is that listen, he might not have the best character, but his policies are what's great for this country and is making the country great. So they can overlook some of the things he says or even some of the transgressions he's done in the past, because at the end of the day, the policies are great for the country. That's how they see it. Did I lose you, Stick?
No, I'm here. Hold on
Okay.
just 1 second. Yeah, it's probably in the basket.
So look at it in the cover.
So anyway, back to you, Tim. Back to you, Tim. So my whole thing is, again, he gets too much leeway. Whether it's the supporters, whether it's the Supreme Court. Right now at this point, everything is so obvious.
I don't think he's getting. Wait. I don't think he's getting leeway. He's not getting leeway. He's getting support. You mentioned the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court supports what he's doing. They're not giving him leeway. They agree with him. They support him.
Not all 9 of them agree. But
enough of them do. The ones that enough of them to win.
Yeah. Yes, and those are mainly the ones that either the Republicans or Trump himself has picked. The loyalists. It's not so much
because
they're supporting him.
Trump only picked 3. I mean, obviously Clarence Thomas is not a Trump pick, and he's probably better than anybody Trump picked. So I mean, he got Clarence Thomas in the bag. I don't think Alito was not a Trump pick either, and he also was in the bag. So you got those two plus the three people he picked. That's five right there. And then there's one that Bush picked that sometimes is not there, but for the most part, that's all six of them.
So again, all of them were Republican picked judicial Supreme Court people that were picked by Republicans and or Trump. Trump is 50% of the six. He picked three of them.
Yeah.
So again, they give him leeway. They know, just like they know right now that they're violating certain rights and oaths and any other thing with agreeing with some of the bullshit that he's putting out there, Tim. It's too obvious.
Well, but they do believe. Listen, as I stated, regardless of how we're discussing Trump, I mean, the thing about it is they believe what the man is doing is best for this country, so they're willing to overlook some of that. Real quick, I was trying to bring this thing up. I wanted you to see this. My fucking computer. Anyway, but I believe that they believe what the guy is doing is in the best interest of the country. That is why. You're saying they agree with him or they're giving him leeway? No, they just think the guy is doing what's right for the country.
Nah, never was to, never will. I really just can't give him no credit, and everybody still wants to give him credit on the border, probably including you. But it's the method. It's the method, Tim, that makes it wrong.
You don't think Trump? And I see your comment.
Shit.
Hold on. And Michael Gularan 4108. You said there's 9 justices. Yeah, not 6. No, he said half of the 6, but when he's saying the 6, he's talking about the 6 Republicans. We're not counting Natasha Brown and Sotomayor. We already know they're not going to vote with Trump. He's talking about the 6 Republican justices. Trump picked half of them. That's what he's talking about.
No, that's not a true statement. It's not that they won't vote for Trump. They won't vote for wrong shit.
Well, they lean
to hurt people.
Okay, we could
being honest.
They lean right. They lean left rather. But stick, they lean left. So they're not okay. We can talk about not voting for what's wrong, but they're not gonna they lean left. They're not gonna vote for most of the stuff Trump talks about, even if it's not wrong.
I'm gonna say it again, Tim. That's a lie in itself too. I don't really want to hear that no more about how they the same feather and they just, they party lined and all of this stuff. No. You got judges that go by the Constitution. You got judges that go by their law books in the sense of what's right, what actually is the law. And then you got loyalists. Whether they're loyal to Donald Trump or they're loyal to the Republican Party, whatever, that's what they got going on. See, I can be honest and say those, if you want to call them Democrats or liberal judges or whatever you want to call them, just because they don't agree with Republicans, right?
Right.
You can call them that, but at the end of the day, what people are missing is not that they're Democrats. It's not that they're Republicans. It's not that they're independents. It's they're going by the actual law. They're interpreting the law the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I disagree. I disagree.
Gerrymandering.
It's
just like gerrymandering. Hold on, it's just like gerrymandering. Only way that Texas is going to be able to gerrymander is if their Supreme Court, their state Supreme Court, goes along with it, because majority of their state Supreme Court is probably 9 times out of 10 Republican.
But let me ask you, wait, stick. Hold on, stick. Listen, while we don't favor what Trump is doing in Texas with the gerrymandering, let's be clear. If the Democrats was doing that shit in a liberal state and it was a liberal Supreme Court, they would let them likely do it too. You don't think that that's the case?
No, I think that it's the case now. I think that that's the case in the sense, because I'm going to just be honest with you. When have you seen on a national scale everybody talking about how the Democrats are gerrymandering? Go. Well,
you haven't. Because, and here's the difference. Just like when they always bring up that Obama was separating kids and putting kids in cages, the difference is because Trump opens his mouth and makes it go on the national stage. A lot of things Trump could actually be doing in silence, but because he's always bragging and talking about stuff, like getting rid of the homeless in DC. If he just quietly had that done, it wouldn't be a big story. But when he announces ahead of time, these people got to go and I'm going to send them far away and shit like that, he makes national stories because he talks so damn much.
And I hear you on that. But in actuality, the big story is not what he's doing, but how he's doing it.
But you wouldn't know
That's
it.
the big story.
You wouldn't know it if he wasn't talking so much.
Yes, you would, because the people of DC would be like, man, what the hell all these damn National Guard people doing here?
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the homeless. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the homeless. I'm saying that you can remove the homeless from a city quietly and not draw attention. Yeah, the National Guard all over DC, there's no way to hide that. But removing homelessness, sweeping them under the rug, there's plenty of cities that have done that.
Listen, Tim. Quietly, humbly, Barack Obama had his people deport people, right?
Okay.
Regardless of the numbers or not, how high, how low, quietly had a lot of people deported. Nobody was on the news getting harassed by ICE. Nobody was American citizens, at least I don't think they were, that got mistakenly as an immigrant, they didn't get their due process. Like, this stuff wasn't going on. That would have made the news back then, even if Barack Obama had said nothing.
I hear what you're saying, but it's going to make a lot more news when the president is on TV saying the shit Trump does. I mean, I think a lot of things that Trump has done that has drawn attention to him, that is positive or negative, it's mostly because of his mouth. You're right. Eventually, something's done in the dark will come to the light. But Trump stands in front of the light and says, I am God, hear me roar. So he's going to draw more attention to that stuff, and quicker. Because who knows how long it may have been before people discovered that they were sweeping homeless under the rug. But he stood forth and announced, I'm about to do this shit early. I mean, so you know before it even happens because he spoke up. I mean, he's making news stories by talking so much. I'll give you the last word because I got to move on.
Okay, so being that you got to move on, I'm gonna say it like how I think everybody needs to say it. They need to see it for what it is. They need to not have their blinders on. If you want to call yourself woke, then go ahead and call yourself woke because that's what it is. See it for what it is, man. Every move that he's made is strategic. Yeah. Now, we look at him as being a bumbling ass fool, but for him to federalize the national, not the national, but the DC police and put it under his control, to me, all that means is any Democrat in Congress, the Senate, and whoever else is in DC, judges and all, and by direction, they will come and arrest your ass. Yeah. That's all it means. It don't mean nothing else. He ain't trying to do nothing with the homeless. Watch what I tell you. Just like they were supposed to be getting rid of illegal immigrants, and now they're arresting judges and lawyers. This is what that's for. It's not for the homeless. It's so he can already have the pieces in place. So when I say martial law, everybody's already in line. I already federalized in this city. These are my officers. All right. They're going to do what I tell them to do.
And I got to speak on it because somebody else said something similar to what you're saying. I kind of agree with a lot of that. Stick, appreciate you coming through. Now,
Tim, have a good one.
You too. Now, real quick, in regards to what he's talking about, many folks who have been suggesting that Trump is trying to somehow become a pseudo king of sorts believe that Trump is trying to use the city of Washington, D.C. as a virtual castle. What I mean by that is, if, a king's in a castle and he's obviously surrounded so that, enemies can't get to him if there's some sort of civil unrest and things like that. So if all of a sudden DC is federalizing his military and things like that everywhere, and you kind of kick out many of the people, he kind of has a shielded environment that could expand for miles. I mean, who knows how far out he's doing this stuff. A lot of the buildings, federal buildings and things like that, they're closing down places and, firing everybody. I mean, he could be doing it. I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying what my last caller was saying. There is some element of validity to that. You're starting to hear that from people. Now, like I said, I do believe Trump draws a lot of attention to himself by just being so vocal about things. But I can see some of what my last guest was saying in regards to just literally having the power to do your will upon people, because he is essentially going to be the kind of like the mayor, well, not the mayor, but the governor all in one of this area. So even the mayor of DC is now kind of powerless under Trump's federal will. So yeah, they really can just have people arrested, moved around. Here's my personal advice before I go to the box and go back to the next callers. And by the way, tap the screen, get your boy on up to 25,000. Make that happen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. We'll start taking calls at that. My personal advice, certainly don't commit any crimes in DC. Not under this shit. Because the punishment is probably going to be draconian. So if you're in DC hitting licks, that needs to stop. You may find yourself doing prison time over petty crime. So listen, you got the president wanting you held accountable. Whether we're talking due process, whether we're talking the punishment must fit the crime, don't assume any of that is going to be afforded to you. So that would be the first thing I would suggest, that anybody in DC that is hitting licks or committing crimes of any sorts, you need to stop. I would probably go further and suggest that if you are a criminal, if you have a warrant, leave the area. Your chances of being stopped, questioned, detained, bullshit arrests coming up probably are significantly higher now. Now that we're potentially dealing with a police force that doesn't have the same level of accountability of what you may have been comfortable with. You hear Judge Jeanine Pirro talking about, juveniles have been getting away with shit and that's not going to happen anymore. So they're, 14, 15-year-olds. Who gives a damn? Now, understand, while they're talking about juveniles who commit violent crimes, don't ever believe it's going to stop at that, because that's exactly how we got into the immigration debacle. It was all about rapists and murderers. Well, look who they're rounding up now. So don't believe that if they're starting out talking about violent juveniles, that's the only people they're going to mess with. Everything has been shown from the Trump administration that they're going to expand what they originally talk about. You give the extremes because you're going to get a lot more support when you present the extremes. I mean, everybody wants to get violent immigrants out of the country. So you present it as an extreme, just like the left talks about give a woman a right to choose because you don't want to force a rape victim to have a baby. Knowing damn well most of the people that abort kids are not rape victims. Knowing damn well most of the people that are getting deported are not rapists and murderers. So they're presenting the extremes to you to get your support. But that's not what they're going to end up doing. So in my opinion, listen, there's a lot of people that probably should just self-deport out of DC. And I hate to say it, but a lot of them are probably folks that look like me. That's just my opinion. You got warrants, you got a prior criminal history, you've been known to cause crimes and things like that. You probably need to leave that city, because the amount of cops sweating you is probably going to increase. And you're dealing with cops that just do not have the same level of accountability that you may have been afforded in the past. These are people that can kind of get away with all kinds of shit because they got the president as opposed to the regular judicial system that you were used to in a liberal city. You went from a progressive city to now operating under a far right leadership. There's going to be a lot of changes under that. You're probably kind of in a situation now where you're somewhat unwanted. You're somewhat unwanted in town. So any excuse is better than none to get you out of here. So my guess is if you can leave, you probably need to leave. Sound like you are describing the shit-tator. I'm just giving you my humble opinion. If I'm wrong, damn it, I'm wrong. But this is the advice I would give to anybody that I cared about, a loved one or a family member. I would advise, if you meet any of the things that I just stated, reconsider living and facilitating yourself in that area for now. Even just simply going to work there, I would suggest rethink going in that city. It's probably not going to be a good place to be for people like you. Anyway, looking in the comments though, Trump wants new field workers. Don't become one in that situation, because if you get incarcerated, you never know where it may go. Anyway, looking in the comments, yes, you are going to meet the suckers in Russia too with this. Okay, I don't know what you're saying there. NWA, New World Order, I guess is what you're saying there. Gen X is restructuring states for the digital slavandia. Damn, that's a hell of a word. Tim, shit's about to pop off soon, in my opinion. Look, I don't want to say shit's about to pop off at that level, but I'm not going to deny that the writing is on the wall that it could. I'm not going to deny that. Tim, stop falling. Mike says, Tim, stop falling short of the whole picture. Look, I'm starting to see more of it. Let me go back to the box. Tap the screen, get the lights on up to 25,000. You guys can't do that. Show your boy some love. Tap the screen. You guys know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. We remain MAGA friendly. And I do want to hear some MAGA on this. I want to hear from some MAGA, because I know a lot of MAGA certainly favor what's going on in D.C. So I do want to hear from some of you folks as well. Grumpy, is that Grumpy what? I don't see the name of that. Good evening.
Grandpa.
Grandpa. Okay, fair enough. What am I getting wrong? Now, my description
Well, first of all, a lot of people have their heads up their asses and they're not looking at the big picture. All right, when you're talking about the homeless, first of all, DC doesn't even register on the top 20 as criminal elements. Then you talk about the homeless. What's Trump going to do? Take and create alligator Alcatraz for the homeless? That is exactly what he's going to do. But more so than that, you got to look at the big picture. He can deploy the military out there for 30 days, correct? And then beyond that, he has to get congressional approval,
which will almost certainly happen. Congress is, if he wants to go beyond 30 days, I think we both would agree that Congress will let that happen.
Yeah, but you see, here's the thing. He's going to go to Congress and say, look how good I've done. Look how the crime is down, even though it isn't. The crime's still going to be there and everything else. But he's going to say it isn't, just the same way as he says everything else. So what's going to happen is he's going to go and get military in all these different cities. That is his way of getting people, the military set up for martial law. He is trying to become a king, a dictator. That is exactly what this shit's all about. I don't give a rat's ass how you look at it. And last night I was trying to get on, but I didn't, when, what is her name? Grandma was ripping you a new asshole. She is 100% right. This is all a shit show. It is Project 2025. He is trying to get martial law. He wants to be a dictator. It's like, he's bringing Putin to Alaska to sit down and talk about the war. How can you do that without Zelensky? He is taking the playbook from all of these dictators and saying, hey, I want to be a dictator.
Okay, well, but let me ask you this.
That is exactly what
let me ask you this. Considering the fact that the liberals are not the only ones in this country, and right now the liberals are the minority, but I want to ask you, why is it that MAGA and the Republicans do not see it the way you are suggesting? They would suggest that what you're saying is completely wrong, that Trump is just trying to make this country great. He's not trying to be a dictator. The question I'm asking you is, why do you think MAGA, who would be affected if Trump tried to be a dictator, why do you think they don't see any of what you're saying?
Because they're drinking the goddamn Kool-Aid. That is exactly what it is. They're drinking the Kool-Aid. Trump is Jim Jones. and they are drinking the goddamn Kool-Aid.
Wow.
My own son is a Trumper, and him and I have butted heads over this crap. There are more and more MAGA that is starting to say, hey, this guy is full of shit. This guy is not doing what he said.
You're saying there's more and more MAGA. You realize Trump poll numbers with Republicans are still astronomically high. I mean, MAGA and Republicans love the guy.
They may love the guy, but look at his polls. Look at the polls on what the people actually see and think about him. Yeah, he's still got his MAGA followers because, once again, they're drinking that goddamn Kool-Aid. As you said last night, he can go down on Times Square and right in front of the entire world, pull out a pew-pew and unalive somebody, and he will sit there and say, oh, it wasn't me. It was this guy over here. And MAGA's going to believe him because they're drinking the goddamn Kool-Aid.
What are you're almost making it sound like you don't think MAGA is savvy enough to make decisions for themselves. What are you saying? They're just blindly following the guy?
That is exactly what they're doing. How many of what Trump said, he said, I'm going to stop the war before I ever even get into office. Not only has he not stopped the war, he's dropped fees on foreign countries. He's sitting there and talking about how he wants to go as far as possibly even sending military to try to take over countries like Greenland and such. He does that, you realize what's going to happen. He's going to start World War III by doing something like that, should he do that, because Greenland is part of the UN, which anybody who attacks a UN country, the whole UN has to go after him. So if Trump goes after, like, Greenland or something, he is putting us right in the middle of a world war.
I don't know. You really think the NATO member nations would stand up on behalf of Greenland against the United States?
They would have to. Otherwise, they're just as much of a coward as Trump is.
And
He has no damn right to go after Greenland.
If you see people within our own borders that are not standing up and going against Trump, why do you think it would not happen on the world stage? The idea that NATO could be depended on, I don't know about that.
Because the people of NATO are already saying that Trump has got his head up his ass.
It's a difference, though. But
you know that as well as I do.
Yeah, but Grumpy,
with all of his tariffs, his taco and shit,
yeah,
they see what Trump's all about. The military in D.C. it's not only about what I said, about him setting up to create martial law.
Yeah, but Grumpy, but Grumpy, it's a big difference between thinking our commander-in-chief has his head up his ass versus actually sending your young men and women to die fighting the United States. I mean, when you consider that we are a military juggernaut, I think there would be a host of nations that represent NATO that would not be willing to die on behalf of Greenland. My guess is it would be very similar to how Trump is doing things in the United States, where a lot of people would back down under his will. I don't feel confident that NATO would stand up for Greenland.
I tend to disagree with you there because of the fact that, he's going if he goes after Greenland, he's going after somebody that, what have they done to us? Not a goddamn thing. He wants to take over Greenland. He wants to take over Canada. He wants to take over the Panama Canal. He wants to control the world. And the United Nation is going to say, fuck you.
Well, let me tell you how this works. One of the things that has really been beneficial for Trump is he is transactional. He's like the king of quid pro quo. That's why a lot of folks in this country are willing to work with him, because if you work with him, he will greatly reward you. That's why a lot of them are in power and they're being rewarded. If he wants Greenland, he can find the more powerful members of NATO and quid pro quo them, promise them things that they will get if they back the United States reasoning for going into Greenland. And you don't need many of them. Just break them up a little bit.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that is how world wars start. You get somebody like that pulling that kind of crap, and then he may not get all of the NATO to go follow him, but there may be some that do, but I think there will be more that say, no, you're overstepping.
Yeah, but like I said, it's a difference between saying no, and actually sending your young men and women to die on behalf of another country like Greenland. I think that whole article, what is it, Article 5, I think they call it, or whatever. I don't know. When it comes to actually fighting against the might of the United States, because most of the NATO member states are expecting the United States to lead the way if one of them is attacked. They don't expect the United States to be part of the attacking force. And I'm just simply saying, I agree with you. That's how it should be. But I don't feel confident that they would always stand up and rise out against the United States.
Let me ask you this. 100% honest answer. How many of the NATO countries agree with the shit that Trump's pulling right now? Not looking at war, but looking at the tariffs and the other shit. Probably, I would say none of them.
None of them. I don't think any of them do.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying. So, yeah, the United States is one hell of a powerful country.
But look at it.
There's no denying that.
But look at the.
Yet, you also got to take into consideration that, all right, Trump pulls this. You've already got military personnel here in the United States that is saying, "Fuck you, Trump. I'm not doing what you're saying. I'm not going to do what you say."
Then they'll go to jail. You'll go to jail. If you're in the military and you don't follow a direct order from the commander in chief, he'll just put you in the brig or put you in jail.
That's not necessarily true. That falls into that same category as, let's say you're out there on the front line and your commander says, "Hey, I want you to go in here and schmurder all these women and children." And you tell them, "Fuck you, I'm not doing it." And it comes to a court-martial. The people that say, "Fuck you," have a right to say, "Fuck you," because their commander is telling them to do something that is against the Geneva Convention. Same difference.
Yeah, and see, I hear what you...
Goddamn difference.
Okay.
These military personnel are sworn not to Trump, but to this country. And if they do the right goddamn thing, they're going to tell Trump, "Fuck you."
Do you feel confident that, in your opinion, they will do the right goddamn thing? Do you feel confident they will do that?
I feel that some of them will. Some of them won't. Some of them will be just like sheep, just like these goddamn MAGA that is swallowing up the Kool-Aid. They're going to follow him no matter what.
All right. I hope you're right.
You're talking about people, these MAGA, who went and put a president in that's convicted of 34 felonies, that's convicted, that has been convicted in a civil court of SA, that has been convicted of, fraud. Look at, they say how good of a president he is, how smart he is, what kind of a businessman he is. How many of his businesses have went belly up?
That's kind of irrelevant at this point. I got to move it on, though, but I hope you're right. I don't feel confident you are, but I hope you're right. Grumpy, appreciate you coming through, man. Thank you.
You bet.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program real quick. Michael Gilliran, I think it says, Greenland is closer to New York City than Rotterdam. Yeah, but I just don't, listen, me and my last caller had a difference of opinion on that, but I don't know. I don't know if it comes down to going up against the might of the United States, and we got Trump in office, who probably would be willing to use every damn thing against any of our adversary. I don't know if I feel confident that NATO would stand up against the United States in defense of Greenland. Not every one of those countries. I don't feel confident. Let me ask you guys. I'll go to the box by way of yes or no in the comments. If Trump decides to go after Greenland militarily, do you feel confident that NATO would stand up to Trump militarily and be willing to put their lives on the line to defend Greenland? Do you feel confident the NATO member states who are obligated to protect Greenland would do so if the United States was on the other side of the gun? I see a lot of folks that are saying yeah, but some folks are saying no. I don't feel it. I don't feel it, and I'll tell you another reason why I don't feel it. It's because of all the interference. Like I said before, and I see a lot of you folks disagree with me. Fair enough. I don't mind the disagreement. I appreciate your input. But I'll say this. As I stated to my last caller, I believe Trump is very successful at being transactional. You do for me, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. So you find some of the more powerful members of NATO and you make promises to them. If you stand down this time, I got your back on this, or I'll give you weapons here, or I'll forgive debt. Is that not what we did with the Iraq War? Now, I get the Iraq War had nothing to do with a NATO member nation being attacked. It had nothing to do with Article 5 type strength. I get that. But there was a whole host of nations that did not want to help America out during the Iraq War, which we activated the Article 5 or whatever. We were a country after September 11th. We activated it. A lot of countries did not want anything to do with that because they didn't think Iraq was an actual enemy. And what did we do? Quid pro quo type shit. We started forgiving debts. We started making deals, and countries started helping us in the Iraq War. Same thing I'm suggesting Trump would do with NATO. That's why it wasn't called it was called the Coalition of the Willing, which is a ridiculous name, but that's because of what the Bush administration did. They did quid pro quos. They started making deals with countries. You send us 5,000 or 6,000 of your people, a small contingent, just enough so we can officially say you're helping, and other nations will see that we got other folks on board. We'll forgive some debt. We'll do this for you. We'll do that for you. And we got a bunch of nations to actually start cooperating in the Iraq War when they didn't want to do so. I really can see Trump doing it. Trump is really good at making those kind of quid pro quo deals. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. In the comments, Cutting Edge says Trump is the commander of the military. They're under oath. By law, he's the leader and the Constitution supports him. That is the way I've seen it as well. I've seen some folks brought up that even though he's a leader of the military, you don't have to follow an order that's kind of considered an illegal order. Very similar to A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson, if you've seen that old 90s movie. But the problem is, Trump is not only in control of the military, he's also in control of the courts and shit like that too. So if Trump gives you an order that you feel is an illegal order and you choose not to follow it, and they try to hold you up on dereliction of duty or whatever they call it, they try to hold you up on charges, you can't feel confident that the courts are going to judge you fairly because a lot of them may be his guys too. That's why I was asking my last guest, do you feel confident they're going to do the right thing? You may end up getting court-martialed and you're before Trump-appointed judges. That ain't going nowhere. Anyway, let me continue on. Who ordered the code red? Yeah, you're goddamn right I ordered the code red. You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall. Tap the screen. Get me on up to 45,000. We'll go back to the box. Asking, is President Trump perhaps the best president ever, or at least in our lifetime? Gangsta Grandma, you were called out from my last caller who agrees with you.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. You stay fluffing, man. How does that uncooked protein taste like? How does it taste like? Vinegary and shit? What is it? Because you be fluffing. I can't stand you sometimes. I really can't.
What the hell have I said today that's constituted fluffing?
Well, what you be saying every damn day? You be fluffing. You don't get you cannot. You don't have the kahunas to go against the bitches and say, hey, you know what? This is all fucked up and it's not what it is. You don't even give them the fucking facts. You let them spew the shit every fucking day. And you know what? I had a little maggot in my inbox thinking he's gonna whoop my ass. You know what I told him? I said, bring it. And I said, I'll put you on a damn t-shirt. I ain't afraid. I'm about that life.
You had MAGA.
These maggots really go, because they think that us blueies don't carry and shit. I stay strapped.
Wait, let me make sure I confirm that you had MAGA in your inbox voicing threats to you?
Yeah, because you know why? Because I tell them the fucking truth. I tell them the inbred. They fuck their mamas. They don't even know who their mama is. Could be their sisters. You know what I'm saying? They just big mad because I call their asses out. I give them the same fucking energy. See, you don't give them the same fucking energy. The racist, the no good, the broke. You know what I mean? They voted against their own fucking interests. That's how special, how dum-dums they are.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well,
when you ever seen the suckers, dum-dums? That's what they are.
When you suggest I don't give them the same energy, maybe that's why I don't have them in my inbox talking shit like that. It's because I respect everybody.
Why would you respect somebody that don't respect your black ass, dum-dum?
MAGA, on this program, most MAGA respect me. Certainly the ones that come up and I talk to.
No. See, they smile on your face and they'll stab you in the back. You know what I mean? Like that fat fuck that you had yesterday on your live, right? Oh, well, I'll have you cutting up my cookout. Oh, white people can cook. Yeah, they'll put you in a tree.
You talking about Gen X?
What's wrong with you? Oh, they respect me. No, they don't, bitch. No, they don't. They don't like your black ass. They'll put you in a tree in New York second.
Do you believe that all MAGA are capable, as you said, of putting me in a tree?
They put any of us in a fucking tree. I told your ass that they're coming for us. And look what they're doing in D.C. They're coming for us. Did you even notice?
You do understand. Do you not understand? Do you not understand that not only does a lot of black MAGA have friends that are black, that not only a lot of whites that are MAGA have black friends and relatives, they also have black folks that voted for Trump. You see all of these folks as putting people in trees.
They're fucking special. The one that voted for Trump, the black maggots and the Latinos and shit, they are special ed dropouts. You feel what I'm saying? They want to be white so bad. They like the uncooked protein up their ass. They like the uncooked protein in their mouth. They want to be white so bad. They're house ninjas.
What about
get that whip after their asses?
What about the possibility that both whites and blacks voted for Trump simply because they wanted a secure border and they wanted a better economy?
Really?
Does that
the black people, the morons, mostly the black men, the morons, they don't like black women, period. You feel what I'm saying? They're the ones that go, I gotta be obsessed with Trump. Oh, he shows manly. He shows the manly. Bitch, please. They didn't like the fact that black women stood up and said, vote for her. It's coming. The shit is going to hit the fan. Oh, no, the black man's like, yes, master. I got to get the whips and the chains. I got to get that cook protein up my fucking ass.
Gangsta, you might be overstated. There are legitimate...
No, I'm not overstated. Why you want to say that?
Because it's true.
This is the fucking truth.
There are... Wait, hold on.
Maggie, I know your asses. Because you like the uncooked protein all up in your shit. And you like the... a.k.a. black...
I'm going to say what I say on every show. There is legitimate reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with hate or racism to vote for Trump. There are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. Legitimate reasons.
Bullshit. This time, it was about hate. This time, it was about fucking hate. What the fuck that motherfucker wanted to give to the fucking poor people? Not a goddamn fucking thing. He said it. They drank his uncooked fucking protein. They drank it and they goggled it. You know why? Oh, he's gonna drop the fucking groceries. Oh, the gas prices. Oh, no, bitch. He never was gonna do that. You know why? Because they wanted the racism. They liked it. They wanted the Hispanic community out of here. They don't like our asses. Tim,
you're telling me...
When are you ever gonna get that shit out your mouth and release it? They don't.
You are saying 100% of MAGA voters do not like people like us and voted based on hate. 100% of them.
You walk like a fucking duck. You talk like a fucking duck. You crack like a fucking duck. You a crack. You a duck.
I think there's
and look at the bitch rolling her fucking eyes. See, the white women, the white women that voted for them, voted for, yeah, you racist too, bitch. Yeah.
I think you're being a tad unfair. Hold on, gangster.
No,
Hold on. Real quick in the comments, Cutting Edge says, read the Constitution and speak with knowledge, not with hatred and without evidence, because at the end of the day, without evidence, the judge won't care if you don't have the evidence. True, but if you do have the evidence and the judge leans a certain way politically, they still may not vote, they may not rule in your favor is what I'm saying. Otherwise, I would agree with you. But if you,
just know what's funny though? I say I'm crashing out. I'm not crashing out. I am stating facts. That's what that motherfuckers don't think. They are the idiots, the fucking complete morons. Their mama smoked too goddamn much with their asses. They're interbred. They don't even know what crashing out is to fucking someone stating the fucking facts. That motherfucker don't like none of us. Why do you think he's only going into black cities? Huh? Why? Why is he not taking where the most of the crime is in the red states? Why is he not?
Okay, let me ask you a simple question, because this is what Trump is stating. A lot of his supporters, MAGA, have stated this as well. That our nation's capital, which is recognized by the entire world, should not be a crime-riddled city, and it should be safer than navigating the nation's capital. Is that not a legitimate statement?
Why is he not in jail then?
Huh?
Why is he not in jail? He's a rapist. Why is it the president not in jail? He's a rapist. Yes. He's a pedo. He has 34 count of felonies on his ass. Why is he not in jail? Isn't he calling the kid a black?
Well, he was not convicted of most of the stuff you just stated.
Yes, he has 24 convictions. Yes, he does.
You called him a.
He essayed that woman and it was civilly. Shut your ass up.
You called him a rapist and you called him a pedo. He has not been criminally convicted of either one of those things.
He got civilly, dipshit.
You don't go to jail for a civil charge, gangster grandma. That's financial.
No shit, but he got convicted of it, dipshit.
They ruled against him in civil court. That doesn't mean you can call him a.
Means he is. Oh my god, he's liable, Pookie. Girly pop, he's liable. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean when you say liable? What does that mean?
You do realize it is a lot easier to prove liability in civil court.
Oh my God!
I'm being honest with you. Hold on, I'm being honest with you. It is a lot easier. Okay, sir. It's a lot easier to prove liability in civil court than it is in criminal court.
Let me tell you something. It's dripping on you. It's just dripping out your fucking mouth. Don't cook protein. Are you gagging on his balls yet? Are you like really doing this shit, Tim? Are you fucking really? You are just gagging on his little crusty ass balls. Oh, he's liable. Okay. And let me tell you something. He is in those damn files. He's doing everything he can with his uncooked ass. Everything he can to get everybody to stop talking about the Epstein files. Why do you think that is, Pookie? Why do you think that is? Because the motherfuckers on him.
Well, there is a possibility that he could be.
Here we go. Well, there is a possibility.
Well, let me.
God damn!
I'm trying to respond.
Can you black this show? Can you be a black man? Instead of having come out your fucking mouth, can you do that at least one time?
You want me?
One goddamn fucking time.
Does being a black man mean I have to endlessly bash the current president?
If I was a black man, I sure would be bashing because they're coming for your black ass. Do you think he's coming for a white ass man? Fuck no. Is he really? Is he calling the po-pos after them? Fuck no.
Let me ask you this question. What have you seen from Trump to make you suggest that he's coming for all black people?
Well, are you fucking serious?
I'm asking.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm asking.
It's just dripping out your mouth. Just like salmonella.
I'm asking.
Like salmonella.
Okay, I get all that. What has he done to make you suggest everybody black should be fearful of Trump coming for them? What has he done?
What did he just do to D.C.? What did he do to L.A.? What did he do to them? He sent the National fucking Guard there. He sent the damn Marines to L.A. He's doing this shit over there to D.C.
You mentioned gangster.
Is it mostly white or black?
You mentioned L.A. You said, what did he do to L.A.? He sent the National Guard to Los Angeles. You realize that and with emphasis on well under 0.01% of black people were even detained or anything at all in LA. I mean, that did not harm the black community in LA at all. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? There's black and brown people in LA.
Yeah, but the National Guard that he sent to LA was not going around rounding up black people like you're talking about.
Oh my God, Tim. It went over your head and through your fucking balls. What is he doing? What is he fucking doing? He's doing it because he's trying to test the waters. He is coming for us. He's coming right now for the so-called illegals. Okay? He's coming for black and brown people right the fuck now.
And I'm
Then he said, I'm coming from homegrown. What the fuck do you think that is, huh? You think it's homegrown white people? Fuck no. It's homegrown black people. And he's doing it now.
But if he's going after criminals, why do you assume that only means black people? And Jamie Brooke, thank you, Jamie Brooke.
Okay, let me tell you something, Tim. I you know what? You are getting on my fucking goddamn nerves. You really are. Get that white shit out your ass.
This ain't got nothing to do with white shit.
Fucking nerves.
You're trying to listen.
You over here and say, what is it? Because DC is what? DC is mostly black. Okay? He's not going down to Alabama where all the fucking all the fucking white tea motherfuckers are sleeping with Tom, Dick, and fucking Jerry, they mamas and shit. He ain't going down there where, hello, the crime is mostly coming from, is the fucking idiots down there. But no, what is he going for?
I'm going. Okay, you're not being fair. In poll bill 123, I saw that. What I'm simply saying is this. What Trump is...
I'm not being fair.
Hold up. What Trump...
The fucking life's dead.
Hold
up. Not fair.
When Trump is saying that he's trying to get rid of crime, that could apply to... Why does it only have to apply to black people? Why are you ignoring the fact that whites and Hispanics and some Asian commit crimes too?
Oh my God, because you're special if you think he's not applying it to us. See... This is why the United States education system is fucking failing people. It's called critical thinking. Okay? Just to land your fucking noggin. Why do you think he's going to one of the liberal DC, huh? And he knows it's mostly black over there. You know? And why did your black ass say, well, you know what, guys? If you're black, I advise you to leave because I'm this criminal. Did you not just say that? Fucking Ray Pookie. You don't think he's not gonna? I mean, I'm seriously, Tim.
I'm guilty.
That come out your mouth.
That one right there was a good comeback. I'm guilty of that. You got me there. You did get me on the end.
He is coming for us, Tim. He is. And you know what? It's so fucking shitty. He's even going after the fucking homeless people. Okay?
Yeah, but what about the notion that wait a minute?
Shit to the homeless
what about the notion that he's actually giving homeless people a place to stay?
Oh yeah, in a concentration camp. Do you really think he's going to put them? Do you honestly think? And this is no shade to the homeless people. Because I honestly God feel fucking bad for them. Do you honestly think he's going to do shit for them? No, he's going to put them in a concentration camp. But he's doing that. The Hispanic.
Why do you now I want to say this. I heard someone say this on a right-wing platform. Is that they suggested that there are, to call these places concentration camps is an insult to people who are real victims there. There's no ovens there. Nobody. I want to know why you're calling it concentration. Nobody is being executed at these places.
I swear to God. Whoever you be talking to on the right wing, tell them to go get a dildo and fuck them in their own ass. Because let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. They are concentration camps. They cannot even get the Bible in there. They don't even eat right up in there. They can't even fucking take a piss in peace in there. They can't even take a shit in peace. The water is nasty in there. It is disgusting in there. You don't think it's not a concentration camp? It's a 25 concentration camp. Now, it ain't back in the day concentration camp, but it's a new age concentration camp. So what is your goddamn point?
My point is, you guys are comparing it to Auschwitz. It's nowhere near as...
Did I say that? Did I say that, King? No, I said it's a new day concentration camp. It is. This motherfucker wants to be a Smittler. This motherfucker, he wants to be a Smittler. He wants to be that. And you know what? The yes masters, the black and brown people that voted for him. Oh, he's going to give us a PPE check. And, oh, my God, he's going to do all this and no tips on tax. Fuck you.
The black...
Fuck all you stupid fucks.
The black and brown people that voted for Trump, Gangsta Grandma, they're still fairly happy with the results of Trump.
Because they like the protein up their fucking ass. They like to be house ninjas. They like the whips and the fucking chains. And they call us. When you want to be on a plantation, they're on a goddamn fucking plantation. How about that, bitches? And I want snacks, and all your AJs and all of them. Bring them to the fucking table. Have them all up here. Line them fucking up. And I'll take them all the fuck down. And I'll chop their shit off and hand it to them.
All right, Gangsta Grandma.
I'm not like you, Tim. I'm not like you. I ain't like you at all. Like when Smacks called you a pedo and shit, I would have fucking choked his ass out. And in the fucking New York second, I would have cut his balls and everything. And I would have made him my bitch at the end of the fucking night. You? Yes, master.
All right.
How do you want to do all this? You know what, Tim? I shit you not. You need to get some kahunas. I promise you do. Because you know what? They're coming for us.
I cannot run a...
I don't give a fuck about the house ninjas.
I can't run a show acting like you, Gangsta Grandma. I cannot run a show talking to people the way you do. That's why I don't have the kahunas.
Maybe you'll get more respect. How about that? Because I give respect. I promise you I do.
All right, Gangsta. All the respect to you. I got to move it on. Thank you. That was not easy. It's never easy with Gangsta Grandma. Looking in the comments, she better move because the redistricting of America is going to, what did you say? Is going red, deep red. Yeah, I certainly DC. I do see DC becoming a far right city. I mean, if Trump is, going to start using his power over DC, basically sidestepping the mayor. I mean, the mayor in D.C. is a progressive city. Trump openly admitted he hates all Democrats. So it's going to probably be a very uncomfortable place to live. I mean, it would not surprise me if the goal was to treat them like shit and hopefully get many of them to move out of the town. Would not surprise me if that. Anyway, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 50,000. Give me a moment to get my blood pressure down. I just got torn apart. I see your comment there, Ray Wright says Trump. I get it. Trump is the GOAT, says Vince Jackson. That's what we're talking about. Is President Trump perhaps the best president we've ever had in history, or at the very least in our lifetime? I need to get some MAGA up here because I want to hear from folks who do suggest Trump is the best we've ever had, the best to ever do it. I want to get the reasoning behind that. There's no shortage of folks, just like my last caller, who thinks Trump is a piece of shit. There's a lot of people who think Trump is next to godliness. So I do want to hear from some MAGA giving me the exact opposite of what, say, my last caller gave me, or my last two callers, by the way. I want to hear what makes Trump the best president in history. I do want to hear that. Early on, they have immigrants washing up on shores, cleaned up, and there's no way you can tell me they were not pushed off those military planes into the ocean. You believe that they deported immigrants, and as opposed to taking them anywhere, they took them out to sea and just pushed them out of the aircraft into the ocean, leading to their bodies to wash up? Is there anybody else to believe that has happened? Now, because keep in mind, we do have some immigrants in this country that came here illegally, entered the country illegally from countries that will not take them back. So you can't deport them back if their country does not take them. So I'm going to ask, because that's a shocking statement. Is it possible that we had immigrants that we could not return and we would do something like that? Where you fly them out over the ocean and you just dump them in hopes that the sea claims them and perhaps their body. Wow, that's awful. I have not heard, even at the conspiratorial level, of something happening like that, but I know I have heard that other governments have done stuff like that. It has happened. I'm trying to see what country it is, because we sold some aircraft to a country and was able to prove that there are other countries that have done that. There are other countries that have actually taken people out to sea and just pushed them out of the aircraft. It has happened, and you're not going to survive out in the middle of open water. It has happened. But I don't know about the United States doing it. Looking in the comments, I bet you don't get one caller who can give you facts about Trump being the best. Well, I sure want to hear from one. Let me go back to the box. Trump being the best president in U.S. history. I would love to hear someone give me the case as to why so many folks are saying that. There's a lot of folks who are saying that. What is the name there? Tamar?
Yes, Tamar.
Good evening. Best president in history. What say you?
No way.
What about best president in our lifetime?
No way.
Is he at least doing a good job?
I mean, no.
Damn.
But he's got his people with him. Everybody rides for him.
Why would they ride for a man that ain't doing a good job?
Yes, that's what I mean. As far as like, they're like brainwashed. You know what I mean? They're like brainwashed cult members.
Well, as opposed to being cult members, maybe they think he's doing a good job. Is it possible that Trump is doing a good job in the eyes of some Americans?
I mean, and they're on the ship to the sinks in the bottom of the ocean, so of course they're gonna say that.
Well, let me ask you this, because one of the biggest issues, certainly with Lincoln Rally and things like that, people wanted the border secure. We need to know who's in our country. Do you not see where he has done a good job securing the border?
That part he has. But you know what? In my opinion, it's the Democrats' fault that we're in this shit. Excuse me, I didn't mean to curse.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Democrats' fault. It's the Democrats' fault that we're in this mess in the first place. All that it was going on, my God. The way that they let the immigrants in throughout the Biden administration, all the man. I'm sorry, I was in the middle. I wasn't expecting. I didn't think you was gonna put me on this quick. God, all the shit with Biden. They knew Biden wasn't in no position to run. He had no business running for a second term. They should have told him from the door when he won. His whole purpose was to basically to get Trump out, and that's what he did. And
so you believe he should have been he should have stuck to being a one-term transitional president?
Yes, they should have told him that from the door. Like, look, and if you're gonna do anything else, we're gonna 25th Amendment or whatever. Yeah. They should have told him that from the door. That's what's gonna happen. Like, I don't understand why they didn't do that. Like, they should have just told him.
The same reason why a lot of folks are saying they should have told Trump not to do this and that. I mean, the president has a lot of power. I mean, Kamala Harris clearly did not want to even tell folks that he might have been in cognitive decline because, as people say, she didn't want to sell out her boss. So people didn't want to sell out the boss.
And I get it, and she still could have she could have separated herself from him. You know,
How?
when they asked her, what would you would have done different from Biden? You could have just said, I'm gonna do everything completely from Biden.
How do you think? Why do you think she did not have an answer for that? Because that is probably one of the worst questions she ever answered. Considering it was on The View, she was in friendly territory. Why do you think she answered that question that damn bad?
Because they were so unprepared. She should have never accepted it. Because she should have never accepted the nomination. Because I mean, she had not even 3 months. 3 months to prepare.
So
she didn't start doing interviews until like September, right? If I'm not mistaken.
So she was a bad candidate. So it sounds like you're saying
it was a dumpster fire from the door. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're saying
got mad at you.
It sounds like you're saying she was a bad candidate.
What you were saying. I know exactly what you were saying yesterday, but Gangsta Grandmother, she got pissed off with you when you said that. But I knew where you was going when you said that yesterday.
Yeah.
About as far as her being a bad candidate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kamala Harris is a bad candidate.
But her vice president, Tim Walz, he's actually pretty good. Yeah. He's actually pretty good, but they kept him under wraps.
Hold on. You said that Kamala Harris should not have accepted the nomination. With only 100 days to go, then what happens if she don't accept it? I mean, we now feel that Biden is incapable.
I mean, hey, look how bad it made her look.
So in other words, we were destined to have Trump.
Yeah, he was right. It's like asking Pee Wee Herman. It's like putting Pee Wee Herman at the bottom of a mountain, rolling a freaking snowball at the top of a mountain, and rolling it down and asking him to stop it. He already had all the momentum. You know what I mean? He already had all of the momentum. Wow. There was no way that you was going to stop Trump anyway. The only way
let me ask it to you this way: if let's say Biden had agreed to become a one-term transitional president, you don't think any Democrat could have beat Biden or Trump rather?
Maybe what's the guy in Pennsylvania?
Shapiro? Josh
Shapiro. Yeah. Maybe him, but his policies is terrible with the whole Israel thing.
So let me present it this way, because you said you don't favor the job Trump is doing, but you admit he has so much momentum. He's the equivalent of a snowball effect. Why do you think
this is a revenge tour? This is the revenge tour right now.
Okay, that's fair, and I think that's fair.
I believe his first term. I've never been a fan of Trump, but he did do better on his first term. I can say that if it wasn't for the pandemic, there was hands down there was no stopping him. But being that everybody was home and got to see how much of an asshole he was, that's why he lost. That's why he lost the. Every day he was doing that pandemic briefing, and people got to really see like, whoa, this guy is an asshole. You know, like it was must see TV, but like.
I don't know. I think people already had. I think people are even on the MAGA Saturday. I was like, he's an asshole, but he's an asshole for us. I think they already knew he was an asshole before the COVID hit. I mean, because he was always on Twitter saying crazy shit. I think they already knew he was an asshole. But I want to ask you this: with you saying that he had a snowball effect, using the Pee Wee Herman explanation, why do you think a guy that you don't believe is doing a good job had so much momentum? What is it about Trump that is giving him that huge amount of momentum that you don't even know if the Democrats had enough time could beat him? What do you think makes him so?
He says what people want. He says what people want. What people are scared to say. You're like, all right. For example, like Eminem. Like when Eminem says, like on one of his songs, he says the stuff that people are like scared to say or won't say. Like he'll go and say He's like Eric Cartman from South Park. That's what I always.
What's wrong with that? I mean, what's wrong with being brave enough to say the stuff people won't say? I mean, is that not a good attribute of Trump?
I mean, not to be the freaking president of the United States.
What is he saying that he shouldn't say?
Oh my goodness!
I gotta ask.
You put me on the spot.
That's what I'm here for.
I get it. I get it, but I know how you do. Everything he freaking said. Oh, we're gonna take Gaza and we're gonna run it. For example, I mean, like the fact that he's changing forts from back to Civil War
Confederate
generals' names.
Yeah,
that's Confederate names. That's freaking, and all of them were freaking they were freaking treasonous. But yet he's calling Obama a treason. Yeah. You understand where I'm coming from? Like. It's crazy.
Trump is saying that he thinks. Trump is saying though that he thinks renaming those military bases that were once named after Confederate generals is erasing history. It was just
an interview with Pete, with Hennessy Pete. He was on something, and he was justifying it. He didn't even call the families and tell them. In Virginia, he didn't even call the families and tell them that he was changing their names or anything. He had somebody call them. I was just listening to it.
Can you explain why you changed Pete Hegseth's first name?
Hennessy Pete?
Yeah.
Because he likes to drink. Just him and Tom Homan. They look like they drinking buddies.
Hennessy Pete.
Tom Homan. Every time he speaks, he sounds like he's drunk.
Oh my God. Well, you know,
he sounds like he's drinking a fifth of liquor.
Well, you know, MAGA really likes Hegseth, though. They really like that
guy. Yeah, it's called the DEI cabinet, and then his whole cabinet, not one person of color except for Patel. What's the FBI guy's name?
You talking about Cash Patel?
That's the only person.
Cash Patel.
Yeah, and then when they were doing the whole thing on about DC, Hennessy Pete looked like he just wanted to drink. He was looking at Trump like, I wish this guy would hurry up so I could get to my office and start drinking.
Well, but let me ask you though, since Pete Hegseth has been in there, other than the controversy, I mean, has he really done a bad job? I mean, what is Pete Hegseth, other than the signal stuff, what has he really did that's that bad?
What has he done? He fired the 5-star general, didn't he?
Yeah, but they also they also claim that they obliterated Iran's nuclear defense. I don't know if that's true or not, but they claim
that's
they
not
did.
true. You know, and then they did the whole TechSgate shit. What has he done good? He hasn't done anything good. No. And then as far as Trump goes with the whole job thing, most of the people that's jobless are black women, because a lot of those people worked in the federal government and they were working in the Department of Education and all that other stuff. Wow. And those are the biggest people that's suffering from all the jobs that's being lost.
Black women are the biggest group, really? I didn't hear that.
Yep. Yes. Wow. Yes.
Damn. Well,
my favorite callers that call their show is Miss Mo Better, Mike, Dinkal, Sherbert. He's hilarious. And one other person, a white lady, I forget her name. I can't remember her name. Clue. But those are my favorite callers when they call. And of course, Gangsta Grandmother.
Oh
she be giving it to you.
I was waiting to see if that was not going to be in there. All right, I got to move it on to my.
I say that's your online wife. That's what I call her.
Jesus, I feel like Al Bundy all of a sudden. Oh my God.
She be cutting you up, Tim.
Yeah, she really.
I don't know what you did to that woman, but she be giving it to you.
Yeah, she cuts.
My goodness.
She cuts deep. Tamara, appreciate you coming through, man. Thank you.
All right, Tim. This is my first time calling too, by the way.
Don't be a stranger, man. Come on back anytime.
I won't.
All right, appreciate it.
I won't be.
Thank you. Looking in the comments, it's called freedom of speech, says Cutting Edge. You're talking about in regards to Trump saying the things that people want to say and don't. Look, I hear you. It is called freedom of speech, but I always state, while I'm a huge proponent of freedom of speech, you guys know I run an uncensored program as far as I can take it. But there are consequences to freedom of speech. I'm 100% okay with Trump having freedom of speech to say whatever the hell he wants. What I don't like is when MAGA starts complaining that people got TDS or, he lives rent-free in your head. If you're okay with him saying all kinds of shit, you should understand people going to say shit about him. I think there's a lot of folks that love to see Trump on the attack, but they don't like to see Trump being attacked. And that's just not how it works. That's not how it works. If you're going to get on the internet and say all kinds of bad things about people, they're going to swing back. They're going to swing back. And that's when MAGA has a problem, when people swing back. They're fine with him talking about, doing this or that to anybody, but they don't like when he gets hit back. And it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. Nobody's making him go on the internet and say that stuff. He could easily just as well do what he can to make the country great. He doesn't have to be doing that. He likes doing that stuff. So there's a consequence to it. You attack, you get attacked. That's the way I look at it. Anyway, look at in the comments, the lies Democrats tell. You only see lies from Democrats, huh, Melissa? You believe Trump won the 2020 election. You believe it was Antifa on January 6th. You believe he didn't have anything to do with Stormy Daniels. You believe all that, huh? Okay. You believe he doesn't know anything about Epstein. You believe he's telling you the truth and only the Democrats are lying. Fair enough. Looking in the comments, Tim, stop being embarrassed with your condition. Was that TDS on your chest, bro? I don't get that one, Draco. Oh, wear that TDS on your chest. I don't mind. I don't mind being referred to as having Trump derangement syndrome. Trump is a very popular, entertaining topic to discuss. I mean, and every day he gives you some new shit by going on television and saying something. I know the right believes that the liberals should just bow down and let them talk about you and not say shit back. I understand how the right thinks about it, but that's not reality. That's just not reality. If he gets on TV and says, I hate all Democrats, well, chances are the Democrats are all going to hate him too. That's how it works. But the right doesn't understand that. I get folks on the right ask me all the time, why do y'all, why do liberals hate Trump? And then when I actually tell them, you do realize the man said I hate all Democrats, they look dumbfounded. Like, you do realize this shit works back and forth, right? I mean, he doesn't just get to swing. Even Rocky won all the fights, but he got hit back. Like, you do expect him to get hit back, right? I don't think they was expecting him to get hit back. I think they just think Trump should be able to fire off at people, and the people should just kind of take it. That sounds a hell of a lot like some kind of monarchy, if you ask me. Anyway, looking in the comments, though, I see somebody, Mr. Mobetta says they'll say he didn't say it. Not well. Most of the stuff that I bring to you, I can show you actual clips of his coming out of his mouth. I mean, look, he goes on television and says the stuff. Or I can show you his social media account where he gets on there and starts talking about things like getting rid of Juneteenth and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, there's enough evidence there that it ain't hard to prove it. Looking at the comments, they love him because he's in a position to say what they think. Damn, you sound like my last caller said the same thing. They don't have the balls to say in public. Well, their testicles are growing. I believe that because Trump is exercising his freedom of speech to insane levels, it is incentivizing and motivating a lot of other people to also exercise their freedom of speech at those same high levels. Folks are starting to say some pretty wild shit out in public, out in the open. So it's starting to happen. So the idea that, well, he says things that they're afraid to say, they're becoming less and less afraid to say it. Anyway, going up back to the comment section, Trump has no idea how to talk like a professional. No, and that's the reason why they love him. He talks like a typical New Yorker. Trump gave the right back, what it says, Trump gave the right back to speak our minds without getting canceled. Trump saved half the country. Stevie D, I think that does apply if you lean right, whereas you're saying Trump gave you the right to speak your minds without getting canceled. However, if the left speaks their mind, you'll gladly cancel them. What Trump simply did is move the cancel needle to the right. He didn't eliminate cancel culture. He eliminated the conservatives being canceled, but folks like Taylor Swift and things like that, he'll gladly cancel a liberal. He's not above canceling. He just don't believe the right should be canceled. But he'll gladly, you see what happened with the likes of Colin Kaepernick. Hell, the right been canceling people since the Dixie Chicks in the Iraq War. So the right does cancel people. They do cancel people as well. I mean, we see what happened with Bud Light recently and all. I mean, the right does plenty of cancel culture. It's just that now they believe that the right should be able to say and do whatever they want, and the left should not. Looking into the box, let me continue on. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 65,000, if you will. We'll continue. I'm having a hard time finding a good MAGA viewer to defend the notion that Trump is the best president ever, leaving me the job to do it myself. Miss Mobetta, good evening.
Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Should I get up here acting like Miss Mobetta? Should I act like gangster grandma? How should I act? Because that all is according to you.
You the boss, baby. This is an uncensored program. You can act any way you want on this program.
Listen, it's the more you going back and forth with MAGA, the more brain cells you lose. I don't understand how they don't see the hypocrisy. Like you said, now all of a sudden you have the power to deploy the National Guard, but when it was J6, oh no, that was Congress.
Yeah, and they're still kind of hesitant to admit that, but yeah, I think when it comes to Trump's the notion that Trump could not deploy. I'm so used to saying deport. When it comes to the notion that Trump could not deploy the National Guard on January 6th, and it was Nancy Pelosi's job, I think at this point that's a flat out lie. To the point, I think MAGA realizes it's a lie. That's why they're now starting to say, no, he offered her the right to do it. But we hosted shows back when that was going on, and we actually were having military personnel come up. I think we even called the branch in D.C. and asked them. We called the National Guard's office on the program, live on air, and asked them whose job it is to deploy the National Guard. We did it on air. So they weren't talking about offering back then. Now that it's come out clearly that Trump was lying and he clearly could deploy the National Guard, now they've reduced it to, well, he offered the right to do it.
That's what they're best at, is pivoting. Yeah. They pivot, and he flip flops and they pivot. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that goes against what he says and does is a problem. Any reporters, he calls them stupid. Yeah. It's a dumb program. It's just his whole speech says that I am not presidential. I have no leadership qualities.
But I gotta ask
you.
He's
always talking about people with low IQ. When you open your mouth, that 2-point IQ you have falls right out.
But let me ask you something, because MAGA is often among the crowd who talks about everything from letting your pants sag down around your ass and not dressing right, using words like axe instead of ask, and these, those, dims, and not speaking. If they don't like that type of improper stuff, why do you believe they would vote for a guy that does it on the world stage?
For the life of me, I wish I had that answer, because that's asinine. It's stupid, and they're so obtuse. And what makes them obtuse, because you see what he's doing in your face, and you chose to turn the blind eye. That makes you just as guilty as he is. Whatever he does, it makes you just as guilty. If you can't call your own leader out for things that he's done or is not doing, you're just as guilty. And our Congress, we have this Congress that we have now is the weakest in American history. They're weak.
I normally am able to push back. I can't push back on that. I mean, they literally are moving out the way and just letting that man do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
I mean,
have free range. And all for what? To claim patriotism? Is that
well,
what
no,
claiming?
I can answer that. I'll give you the same answer. I think I gave it to either my last caller or may have been Gangsta Grandma. I mentioned how Trump is really effective at quid pro quo. In other words, give me my way and I will handsomely reward you on the back end. A lot of the members of Congress, I mean, members of the Senate that are Republican, probably even members of the Supreme Court that we don't know about, they're being rewarded for doing Trump's bidding. I mean, like when he was imposing the tariffs and making all these threats, they were making a killing in the stock market. Marjorie Taylor Greene made like $2 million overnight. I mean, they making a killing doing that stuff. So you're looking at this guy and saying, maybe I don't agree with this or that.
That's what happens when you have everybody in your pocket. He got them all in his pocket. Yeah. He does. He has them all in his pocket. Clarence Thomas, like I call him, he's worse than Trump. He's worse than Trump. And that's not my opinion. You can go check his resume. He's raggedy as a 20-year-old pair of left shoes. He's raggedy as fuck.
I don't even.
Like I tell you now, to his followers, it won't end well for him. It won't end well.
What do you mean by that? I mean, he's 79. What do you mean it won't end well? He's going to ride off.
Well, again, because he will not go out with grace. Because he has no humility. He doesn't know what that's like.
I don't know, Mr. Bobetta. The man may go out with
you can call it what you want to. You don't have to know. Well, I'm a good judge of character and stuff like that. So I listen. It won't end well for him.
I'm thinking it's possible the man could end up with a Nobel Peace Prize in his face on the side of Mount Rushmore and many highways named after him. I don't know.
If he gets it, he gonna buy it. I'm gonna take like he do everything else. If he gets it, he gonna buy it. You mean that ain't Mount Rushmore? Then it would be Mount Touchmore.
I left myself open for that one. I left myself open for that one.
That's the P3O mountain.
Mount Touchmore. That's pretty creative.
Mount Touchmore. That's what it would be. And he's as guilty as sin for the things he said. Even though he wasn't criminally charged for those, when you found liable, that's just because they missed the time to charge him criminally. The time has lapsed.
What about the notion that
if you're found civilly liable, that means you have they have a lot of stuff that they say yes, you were involved.
What about the notion that many suggest that the only reason Trump got charged with all this shit is that they didn't want him to be president to begin with? Because if he was such a bad guy, Why didn't you charge him with this stuff when the statute of limitations was not out of bounds? I mean, the guy runs for president, and suddenly you're fighting all this old shit to bring up on this guy. If he was really that bad, why didn't you charge him? Why are you bringing up stuff that's a decade or 20 years old?
Well, because he was paying before he got into the world stage. Again, when you get to a certain position, that comes along with a lot of baggage. You're entering into a realm now that's beyond that little petty Annie that he was before he entered into. Right now, Trump is really just the face. There's so many more powerful people beyond him till they found his weakness. They know what his weakness is. They know he has a big mouth. They know he don't mind saying stuff. He'll get up there and say stuff that they can't say. Like the white nationalist Christians, okay? Which they take the Bible and try to use it. They use it for fear. For fear mongering. That's why a lot of people vote. A lot of women voted for Trump because they use the Bible and all of that stuff.
In what way did the Trump administration use the Bible to fear monger? Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Well, look, because the main thing they talk about is trans people and LGBTQ. The first thing they say, well, the Bible says, or the God says.
Well, they tend to.
What I implore them to do is go back and do the study on who King James is. Go study who he is with his gay ass. Go study him. Even before it came out with him being a gay man, of all the stuff that he took out of the Bible and stuff like that. And like Gangsta Grandma was saying earlier, they will get to a point where if you're married, you're going to have to get permission from your husband to vote. Oh, matter of fact, no, you don't vote. I'll do the vote. It doesn't matter who it is.
All right. So you think they're using the Bible as a measure of fear, huh?
They use it as a fear tactic. They use it as a fear tactic, Tim. It's been like that, and that's why a lot of people don't get into religion. You yourself know that. Well, because they pick and choose what they pick. Yeah. They use that Bible to uphold slavery and different things like that. It was in the Bible that it was okay. Okay, it might have been in the Bible to say it's okay to have slaves, but it didn't say you can mistreat them. It didn't say you can rape them.
Actually, it did. I do believe it says in the Bible that it's okay to beat your slave as long as you don't kill him in the process. I believe that's in there. The devil is a whole lie.
That's why you need to check the source. That's why you need to check the source.
I was watching a video on TikTok today from some lady. I mean, just a random person, so I don't know what validity is to it. But she stated that the Bible before 1942 never had the word homosexual in it, and that homosexuality was quite common back in the day. And for some reason, to divide us, they actually inserted that into the Bible, and it has been confirmed. I'm not aware of this, but she did say that did not used to be in the Bible.
That's why you have to check the source, because again, I'm gonna make it look good. They can't tell whether I'm telling the truth or not. I'm gonna read it, but like you said, you keep dumping something long enough, beating it into your head. Oh, well, it has to be true. They keep saying it.
Yeah, I had a caller on the show the other day tell me, why haven't you read the whole Bible? It's the most popular book in the world. And I'm kind of.
I heard that.
Yeah.
That was that country ass fool from down in Alabama. And when you showed him the video of Alabama's SNAP program being cut, he didn't have shit to say after that. Yeah. He was just looking for a gotcha moment, which most people do. Oh, gotcha, I got you. Yeah. No, I need for you to show me where you saying I'm wrong at. Yeah. If you can't do that, then you just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be honest, I think I would tend to be more into the spirit as opposed to into religion, because I believe that religion is more man-made. And I always say on the program, certainly being an African American, both sides of my family coming out of slavery, I don't understand why the black culture did not abandon Christianity once they got free. I mean, the people who taught you this religion, because when you came to America, you weren't Christian. These people did not have your best interest at heart. So why would you keep their religion?
You stripped of your heritage. You stripped of your language. They were stripped of so many things when they were brought here. So, and then all they gave them was the only thing they was allowed to do was practice Christianity. When we so-called freed, they didn't have any resources. They didn't know any other thing to pray to but to God. So a lot of our ancestors took things right from the element. Like,
well, you know now.
I can smell the rain.
Smell the rain. Yeah, but you know now. You know that religion is picked.
Now it's a different ball game. Now it's because that's a way. All right, if you have a church, they're not charging you taxes. So
that ain't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm still surprised. Remember if you remember back in the 80s and 90s, black folks used to wear the African medallions because they were identifying more with Africa and the whole Back to Africa movement. You seen it in public enemy videos and shit, the little leather medallions with the red, black, and green on them, and X-Clan had. And then of course you had everybody naming their kids all these Afrocentric names in that era. When they started kind of separating from what they thought was the bad man, I don't understand why religion wasn't part of that. Because like I said, this religion was pushed on you by people who didn't have your best interest at heart. I don't know why they kept it.
I agree. I agree with you on that. I do. I totally agree on. But what happens in those instances, it went from the African medallions to gold chains and different things like that. Yeah. And you seeing that, this is what's going to make me rich.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I get all
people
of that.
Were disregarding the African medallions and stuff. I mean, you still have people that are 10 toes down for that stuff. I'm serious about my history, because how would I know where I'm going if I don't know where I'm coming from?
It's a good point. Good point. So Trump, certainly I'm going to assume you don't see this guy as the best anything ever.
He might be the most popular, but he's not the best.
Why do you think he's so popular?
He is actually he's the least of any president of this country.
You think he's the worst president in U.S. history?
Because of his he's right up there with the Nixons and those folks.
Wow.
It's just that in modern days, now it's a lot more resources than they had back in there. So he has things so where he can fix things to make it look like I'm doing such a great job.
I'll tell you this, for what you may, and a lot of Trump detractors think Trump is guilty of, technically he should be considerably worse in your opinion than Nixon. I mean, Nixon was, Nixon authored a burglary, but that's about it. I mean, I think historically you guys are going to see Trump is doing a whole lot more that is worse than what Nixon did.
Yeah.
I mean, he should.
But listen, just like they couldn't get past Kamala's character, claiming she slipped her way to the top, he felt his way to the top, and people that couldn't actually defend themselves. And no, I can't rock with it. I'm sorry.
All right, Mr.
I'm sorry.
He felt his way to the top. Oh my God.
He felt his way to the top.
Mount
Grabbing people by the pussy and all that stuff. Like, come on, bro.
All right, Ms. Mobetta, appreciate you coming through. Mount Fillmore. I'm sure if he ever gets his face on Mount Rushmore, that will catch on. Mount Touchmore. Mount Touchmore. I'm sure that will catch on.
Face up there, it's going to be Mount Touchmore.
All right, Ms. Mobetta.
Bring my boy Mike up.
Oh, my God. Mount Touchmore. Anyway, we're asking that question. Is President Trump perhaps the best president of all time? I'm on social media today, and I heard a lot of people, I watched a lot of social media while I'm doing my day job, and a lot of folks were suggesting that Trump is the best president we've ever had. Now, because my FYP is set, I talk to people from all sides of the aisle. I don't only hear from liberals or only hear from conservatives. I hear from both sides. In fact, if I'm not here talking to you fine folks, I'm usually in MAGA-oriented chat rooms. So I do talk to people from both sides. So I'm going to hear both sides of, I'll get memes and all of that shit from all sides. Well, today I heard a large portion of people saying Trump was the best president ever, and a lot of people saying Trump is a racist. This is what I've heard. So I'm asking you folks, why are there so many people that suggest that this guy is the best president ever? And of course, why are there folks that suggest that he is some sort of racist? What has Trump done to justify calling the man a racist.
He's made it clear throughout his life that he believes black people are inferior. Like he believes that to his core, in his bones. He wouldn't let us live in his buildings back in the day. But also, when you hear some of the stray comments he makes, he clearly believes in a genetic hierarchy of humanity and is racially determined. So he is a tried and true, like dyed in the wool racist. Like in the core of his being, he's a racist. So
now that's singer-songwriter John Legend, who obviously, now John Legend was discovered by Kanye West. That's an interesting separation there, because obviously Kanye West was at least, I assume he may still be, but he was at least a huge fan of the current commander-in-chief. Sherbert, good evening. Welcome to the program.
How's it going, Tim?
I'm talking about the best president in U.S. history. What say you?
I say that's utter horseshit. Mostly because I would like to see the actual fact-found statistics of all the things they want to talk about, because Trump's saying that he resolved a war he wasn't even wasn't even a president for.
You're talking about Serbia, Croatia?
I can't trust anything that he says. Like, how can we ever trust any of his numbers when he's putting in a Project 2025 Heritage Foundation lackey as the person that puts out the jobs numbers?
Well, yeah, and is that who he put in there to replace the commissioner?
Yup, the head of the Heritage Foundation.
Yeah, I can't push back on that. When he fired, listen, I said on many of my videos, since Trump has been president, you've obviously fired a whole lot of federal employees. Your tariffs have hurt jobs. Obviously, tourism is down because you threatened Canada, you threatened Mexico, you threatened Panama, you threatened Greenland. People are getting fired every damn where. You're on a firing spree, but you're questioning why your job numbers are so bad. I never could understand that. So when you fired the commissioner, the labor commissioner, and as you're talking about now, putting in a friendly, yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I wouldn't trust those. Most likely the next jobs report is going to be the best in U.S. history. And it's not going to be credible at all. It's not going to be credible at all.
But you ask if he's the best president ever, and it makes me think about Biden's term, where I really didn't think he was the best until he started passing monumental bill after monumental bill that would actually help America.
You thought Biden was the best?
Both sides.
You thought Biden was the best?
Not the best. I didn't think he was that amazing until he started actually passing legislation and getting shit done, which made him a good president. So when all of these other people come back and say he was the worst, the country's falling, even though we came out of COVID better than any other country in the world, it's all bad faith. And that's starting to bother me.
I gotta tell you, despite the accomplishments of Biden that you're talking about, his legacy is probably going to be refusing to step down and putting Trump in there.
Oh yeah, I wish he had stepped down 100%. Yeah. I completely agree with that guy from New York or Bronx or wherever he was.
Yeah, his legacy.
That's how we fucked up, is we didn't immediately start campaigning for anyone and everyone from literally day one, or especially once Trump had said he's going to be running again. We should have been doing something else.
Well, because Biden beat him the first time, and then of course the liberals were telling us all that Biden was more than capable of running a second term. There was no reason to put anybody else in. You got the winner in there, and they're telling you he's good enough to go.
I just saw somebody put in there Hunter Biden in the chat.
What about him?
Do you understand that man was being, prosecuted the same way they're saying Trump was the entire time Biden was in office.
Yeah, Hunter Biden was being targeted. That's obvious. Yeah,
we were fighting stupid culture war shit that they wouldn't shut up about. And then they wonder why, we're fighting all this lawfare bullshit.
Well,
when we
to
can
some
see
degree,
the perfect phone call.
But to some degree,
when we can see the perfect phone call and it's clear bribery, well, then he actually did something wrong. But they say, we hurt the country by going after Trump. Well, don't do illegal shit. It didn't hurt any single Trump supporter that he was being prosecuted. They just didn't like their cheerleader getting hurt.
Well, to some degree, when it comes to Hunter Biden, he definitely made himself an easy target. I mean, it ain't like he was just sitting there being a choir boy. He kind of put himself out there. You're getting paid.
Yeah.
You're basically getting ghost payroll from what was it, Burisma? What I mean, he was cashing in on his dad's name. I mean,
there is one thing to this, Tim, that I never hear anyone else talk about. So let me say this. He was the head of a lot of charitable foundations, like doing more work in the US aid than pretty much anyone else. Now, I don't know how absolutely true that is, but if his resume is at all believable by what he says, he was actually worth making some of that money because he was actually doing a lot of shit. I don't know what the fuck Stephen Miller is doing that he should be getting what Jared Kushner did that he should be getting $2 billion.
Well, let's be clear. The Trump side is going to judge Trump on a curve. I mean, if one of Trump's children was doing exactly what Hunter Biden was accused of, I don't think they'd care. I mean, so Trump gets the benefit of the doubt on levels that nobody's going to get.
They don't care about facts. They've never cared about facts. The alternative facts are good enough for them. They'd rather us not test for COVID because less tests means less numbers. So nothing has ever mattered to them. And it's pretty damn clear. If January 6th was just a peaceful protest, they're walking them around. Ugh. Oh, I wanted to say this.
Sure.
It was deceptively edited by Tucker Carlson to show the QAnon shaman being led out of there when it's pretty clear that was at the very end and he was being escorted out once they had control of the building again. Yeah, they don't have him in handcuffs. They're just walking him out.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to January 6th, I think you'd have to be an idiot to look at that and suggest that that's a peaceful protest. I mean, even the whole notion that they're letting people in the building peacefully. I mean, we've all been on tours, whether it's at a state park, whether it's at a federal building. You don't get tour guides that are armed men in uniform. So obviously something is wrong. They're not going to be giving you a tour when the other side of the building is being overran. It's pretty obvious, and their walkie-talkies are going to have people screaming, "I need backup over here." So obviously, the Capitol Police were overrun that day, and in the interest of not escalating the situation and getting themselves killed by a bunch of people that have not been patted down or searched, they stood down and just said, "Give them access to this side if we can get Congress out of here." I mean, but they weren't giving them tours. I mean, half the building is being overrun. You're not going to give people tours doing that shit. And you're not going to use the Capitol Police to give the tour. So, yeah, the notion they were giving tours is insane.
When all of these people are speaking in such bad faith about January 6th, I don't think I really have to believe them on anything after that. And they've shown themselves on 3 or 4 different topics in that same way of being stupid. And so I agree with Gangster Grandma like 95% of the way.
95?
She gets a little extreme. I don't like when she starts talking about genitalia, but that's about it. And the repetitive insults of, "Oh, baby girl," or whatever the fuck she says.
That's probably 30. That's probably 30% of her. That's probably 30% of her conversation is the shit you don't agree with.
Well, it's not that I don't agree. I don't like it.
Oh.
But her actual points, the things she's talking about, she's usually right. She's just so aggressive that it's off-putting.
It's amazing how many of my viewers actually, despite my MAGA hate Gangster Grandma. She's claiming she's gotten
everyone.
She's claiming she's gotten threats in her DMs, but my liberals, they really like Gangster Grandma for some reason. They like that shit. I don't know.
If she could, I think it's personally time for Gangster Grandma to do her own lives. And she can scream at anyone and everyone for hours and hours.
How could you hold a live doing that if you and your guests are doing that back and forth? Because that's what I tell her.
It would get banned quick.
Yeah.
But at least it'd be interesting to have her own show. I'd love to see those recordings later.
That's what I tell her when she's telling me I don't have the kahunas and I should, like, you can't host a show doing that. If both of you guys are doing that, nothing gets accomplished. Y'all just cussing each other out. I mean, like, no. You know, I like to respect my guests. I don't, I'm
probably about as extreme as she is, just I say it in a much nicer way.
Well,
because when it comes to the Epstein files, cut everyone's hands off.
Jesus.
That was in those lists, and if they did something really bad, get them rid of them. No trial, no nothing.
But you don't believe
if we can prove it.
Okay, well, let's talk about Trump, for instance. Do you believe that he possibly abused a child?
Tim, he hosted the pageants that Epstein was pulling people from. And then the people that were recruiting for this pageants had also been convicted of these awful, awful things. Like every part of the business triangle of his pageant days were incredibly fucked up by people that had been sent to jail and found unalived in their cells the same way as Epstein did. So I 100% believe that by the character and the business people he kept around him.
Why are there not more grown women coming forward and admitting what he did to them then?
Well, do you remember, I mean, this is a much smaller level, but Stormy Daniels was threatened by, while Trump was still
I believe
being
it might have
elected
been
in the
Michael
first
Cohen.
term.
I believe it possibly could have been Michael Cohen that threatened her. But yeah, she did say
Well,
she got
said
threatened
there was
with
the
her
big
kid.
bouncers that came up to her while she was unloading her kid
Yeah.
out of the car, and they
Yeah,
knew where
did.
she was.
She did say that.
So I imagine a lot of that's happened, and a lot of people have been disappeared, but I don't have the facts on any of that.
So So you see this guy almost like a mobster, so to speak.
He grew up in New York in the building trade during that time of the mob, of course. Anybody that doesn't is just a Trump sexual.
Then I'm going to ask you the question that MAGA often asks. If Trump is so bad, why didn't any of this shit come out when he was a citizen in New York? He was well known, he was a celebrity, and nobody was saying he was racist or he was a mob boss. They weren't saying this stuff back then. It was only once he ran for president that all of a sudden he's the worst guy on earth. Why is that?
Well, there's actually a really great answer for this. The Ann Seltzer poll is being sued for numbers he didn't like. So if you're telling me back in the day when social media wasn't a thing, that if he got, any kind of word that he had somebody talking about him, sorry, that he wouldn't sue the ever-living shit out of him when he will still sue a pollster for something he didn't like to see, it's very clear the billionaire won over the 80s and, the 90s until we started getting the internet, and then he ran for president.
Mm. So you do believe he's been doing it all along, yeah?
Oh, his moral character is, below the basement.
Damn. People love this guy, Sherbert. People love this man. I mean, let me ask you.
Yes, but they're also pretty blind to critical thinking.
No, I mean, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told Gangsta Grandma, and I get hammered for saying this, but you do realize there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump and like him as president, right?
Yes and no. If you think that Baker was correct for the lawsuit that went to the Supreme Court over not wanting to make a gay cake, if you think that was okay, then no, it was okay for her to sue and win about all that. Then of course you're going to be for Trump and you're just going to go blindly because that's your level of moral character. Really? And I am appalled by her shit because it really didn't matter. Don't do the cake. And it turns out she was just making that shit up and the emails were to herself.
Yeah. I mean,
so if you're okay with that, I don't like you. Fuck you.
That's kind of how they rolled back Roe v. Wade. Like they just came up with a phantom case and used it in court, and they actually adjudicated on that case, and it led to Roe v. Wade getting rolled back. I think that's kind of how it started.
That one also hurts my soul.
Huh?
That case also hurts my soul. You shouldn't be telling other people what to do when it's such a personal and life-changing thing that they have to choose.
While I understand that, I'm going to play the other side of this and ask, how do you not give Trump and Trump supporters credit by, okay, you don't like them taking away a woman's right to choose, but you do realize because of what they've done, in a generation or so, you'll have probably millions of people that can say, I am now alive because of what Trump did back in, 2000, whatever, because I would have been, my mom admitted she would have terminated me. But thanks to Trump, the late great Trump, Donald Trump, a president from the past, I'm alive, and I would not have been if it wasn't for him.
No, I don't think that's going to help anything. Because when Roe versus Wade was initially put in, our crime numbers were through the goddamn roof. And as that scale of these people became adults that would have become adults, the number dropped in the same corollary numbers. So no, we dropped all the people that would have been neglected and treated like shit and grown up to be homeless, drug addict, the problem. And so when they're just saying, screw it, forced birth, we won't do anything to help you afterwards, they're not helping anything. They're just creating more chaos because they are chaos agents.
All right, fair enough. No credit at all. Sherbert, you drive a hard bargain.
We have to look at history, Tim. We have to look at history. And when people just come back with their moral, religious ideology, that has nothing to do with how things actually happen.
Well,
facts over feelings, Tim. Facts over feelings.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be. I don't know if we're going to get there, but Sherbert, thanks for coming through.
Have a good night.
Oh, you too. All right, moving on with the program. By the way, tap the screen. You know how this program is ran. I haven't given that spiel yet, but I certainly will now. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 80,000. You know how the program is ran. Travelman, yeah! Appreciate the hat and mustache. You know we don't block, ban, or censor anybody here. This is an uncensored program. We are MAGA friendly. Always have been, always will be. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program. MAGA still remains my preferred guest. I just can't get a lot of MAGA on the program anymore. But MAGA still remains the preferred guest. So when you come up, we treat you with respect no matter what your political affiliation is. If you do enjoy civilized dialogue from all sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host trying to dictate how you should speak or what you should think, you're in the right place. Follow the program if you're currently watching on Instagram or TikTok. Give your boy a sub if you're watching on YouTube. We don't censor, so you're going to hear a lot of opinions on all sides of the aisle. Looking in the comments, though, they aren't pro-life. They are just anti-abortion. I get that. You say they're not pro-life, they're pro-birth. I have heard that. There is validity to that statement. But nevertheless, in the comments, Twisted77. Good evening to you, Twisted. Twisted says I do censor. I'd like to know how, Twisted. In what manner are you suggesting that I censor? You feel free to come up and tell me, because I don't know how you're suggesting that I censor. But Travelman, good evening. Welcome to the program, Travelman.
Hey, how you doing, bro?
I'm just hanging like Jesse Jackson at a Klan meeting. You know what I always say. So
we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have you back on. So I'm asking, Trump, best president in U.S. history. What say you?
Come on, man. I know you're not asking that question.
I'm asking that question. That is what I've seen on social media in many spots today. People are suggesting that he is the best to ever do it. Why do you think they're saying that?
Because they probably don't like ecstasy or I mean they
oh my God.
They're not looking at reality, that's for sure.
Well, you do it.
He's not even in the top 40, man. Come on, bro.
Damn. There's only been like 45 of these motherfuckers. He ain't in the top 40? Jesus.
No. He's just like all those southern red states. He's in the bottom 10.
Well, you do realize there are some legitimate reasons to like the man, though, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Like that $783 million he cut from the National Institutes of Health. That's pretty good. What you think?
I don't know.
Or the fact that RFK Jr. just slashed all the funding for the murder research that's been done over all these years that helps us develop the vaccines faster. But what about that? I don't know. What you think?
Well,
maybe the $80 billion plus a year he's gonna cut from Medicaid with this BS about wage fraud and abuse, and we're gonna make people work We're going to get healthy people to work, not take into account. I think they tried that in Arkansas, Kentucky, Georgia, and each one of them lost like 15 to 20,000 people off of Medicaid. Well, I mean, is that what you're talking about?
They do like his cuts. And Sean Herbert in the comments asked, did MAGA reacts get deported? I don't know. I haven't seen MAGA reacts well, I was on vacation a lot last week, so I haven't seen MAGA reacts in about a week or so, but that's a hell of a question to ask. Did he get deported?
You know why they like it? You know why they like his cuts?
Right.
Because they really haven't affected them yet.
I believe that.
And they started affecting them, right?
I believe that.
Then what they gonna do?
Yeah. And that could certainly be Medicaid, that could be SNAP. What else does he cut that could affect even MAGA? Really any of the entitlement.
How about the fact that he shut down the Consumer Protection Bureau, which has put billions of dollars back in people's pockets?
Yeah.
You know, what about that?
It's a good point.
What about the $1.4 billion he cut out of USDA for farmers and stuff? What about that? I don't understand. Explain it to me.
I don't, something.
Help me out.
I'll see what I can do here. I don't understand the celebration over the Elon Musk or some of these cuts either, because my take on it is this. Even with USAID, my take on it is this. If I'm not going to personally see any of the benefits from those cuts, then damn it, let them keep having the money. I mean, if you're helping out starving kids in Africa through USAID, and you say, I want to take care of Americans first, we're going to stop sending money overseas, and you stop sending the money there, but my life don't change at all, then damn it, keep helping the kid. I mean, unless you're going to show me where as the guy says, show me the money. If you're going to show me, the benefits of what you've done, that's one thing. But I'm hearing Trump cutting all these federal programs, and I'm not seeing where Americans are seeing any of the alleged savings. I'm not hearing where any Americans. In fact, he's cutting programs that help us out Americans too. So I'm not seeing it.
Well, you know what? You're not seeing it, but I tell you what, the people gonna feel it. I think they cut 11,000 people out of the IRS, so that means we're gonna collect 500 billion less than what we did just this year alone.
I tell you what I did here, though.
What does he do? Let me ask you something. What organization or what government agency or what institution has he not attacked or cut? Now he's going into the Smithsonian, and they're going to review all the exhibits at the Smithsonian to make sure, in preparation for the 215th celebration, that basically all those exhibits adhere to what Trump wants.
Well, when you ask what has he not cut, he's been really kind to ICE.
Yeah.
Gave them a lot of money.
He made them a lot of money.
They went from $8 billion to $28 billion.
Basically turned them into almost a paramilitary organization.
Yeah.
And you got these other knuckleheads. You know what? Let me tell you, man. This is how bad a shape we in. They got the people down in D.C., right? They're walking around downtown D.C., right? Let me tell you something, man. You know how many crimes been committed on the National Mall this year? Zero.
Where'd you get those numbers from?
I just read it about 30 minutes ago from somebody from one of the people that pulled it up, and they showed the numbers. You know what else too? And that's true. That's probably true. You know why? Because down there in the downtown area, the National Mall, the Washington Monument, Black History Museum, all that, bruh, that is number one, very clean, right, and number two, very safe. All right. And I tell you something else too about DC, because as I told you before, I've been driving Uber down there since 2019. Right? I have like 27,000 rides around DC. So
wow, that many, damn.
I've been all over DC in the Northern Virginia area. When you go to DC, there's one thing you will see a lot of, and that's the police. You will see the po-po everywhere.
You're going to see a lot more now.
What are they going to do?
Probably. I'll answer that. I'll answer that from a couple angles. First of all, if you're getting rid of the homeless, you're going to have a lot of homeless people being in having police encounters. I mean, they're going to be going after people for loitering. If you're just walking up and down the street aimlessly, all of them folks are going to suddenly have police interactions because he's targeting the homeless as well. So that's one thing. The second thing is suspicious characters are now going to probably be getting, accosted by cops. I mean, there's going to be a whole lot of that profiling and all that shit.
Profiling?
Yeah.
Isn't that profiling?
And that's going to happen.
And you know what they were doing today? Traffic stops. they flooded the DC area with feds or whatever to do traffic stops. But let me ask you this too.
Are they actually doing that? You said they were doing that today?
They were doing it today. I just heard about it on the news.
Wow. So that's already profiling.
So yeah, they're already doing it. People seem to give these MAGA clowns all this so-called power or whatever. But let me ask you something though, because they do all this immigration stuff and whatever, and they got all these people down here in DC. I ain't even seen them show one picture of anybody going into Southeast DC. I haven't seen no immigration people going into Southeast DC. If they wanted to get illegal immigrants, it is. I don't know how many construction sites going on in DC. And I drive around DC early in the morning and I see people going to work, construction workers, and I bet you 90% of them are Latinos, Hispanics, whatever you want to say. At least 90%. I see them every morning.
Well, they gotta let them finish the job first. So, but when it's time to give them,
when they take those iron poles and stuff down, ICE gonna be standing there waiting on them.
When it's time for them to actually collect their check, they're gonna get handcuffs.
Let me ask you this too, though, because he's a great president but he's also extorting, private companies. He's extorting the colleges. He put an export on the companies making the chips. AMD and the other company. He put that sell chips to China. He put an export. In order for them to get their license, they got to pay a little something.
But in regards to what you're saying,
yeah, but that's like that Chicago stuff, man.
But hear me out though. In regards to what you're saying, where he's able to, I guess I'd say bully money out of people in the if that money was being realized by the American public, yeah, he's a mob boss, but he's a mob boss for us. He would be equivalent to a drug dealer that hands out turkeys on the block during Christmas time. I think we'd all like him a little bit more. But the problem is he's rolling in dough and he's not sharing it. Nobody's bragging about how much extra money they're getting. He's obviously, you're right, he's taking money from universities and colleges and media outlets and things like that, but none of us are seeing it. We're paying more for groceries and stuff like that. We're not realizing any of the money he's getting.
But not only that, not only is he getting money, he's trying to force the universities into switching to the curriculum or some of the curriculum that the administration or that the conservative right-wing people want them to teach. That's what he's doing. He went after the law firms, right? Now he's telling private Goldman Sachs, you need to fire your economists. You need to fire. What the hell is going on? That's what I like to know.
He's a boss.
What the hell?
He's a boss.
He is Don Corleone Trump. That's what he is. The mango maniac is gone mad.
But did he not say if you elect him, you're going to get tired of winning? Is he not doing that?
But are we really winning? I mean, because the rest of the world is laughing at us. The Congress has been neutered. Okay, so you got 225 Republicans that's either been neutered, they're eunuchs, or they've been spayed because they don't have any backbone and no balls.
Damn.
So I mean, nobody's saying anything. You got the Supreme Court that's rolling over, and they tried to help him out, but in the meantime, they just gave Obama immunity too for everything with all this nonsense.
I don't feel confident about that. I think if Trump went up against Obama for treason or something like that, I don't think the Supreme Court could be dependent on to say that Obama had immunity. I think they would suddenly narrow down their definition of immunity, and it would not include what Obama's charged with.
I agree, 100%. I agree. But I mean, this is the stuff this is what he has done in our country. And it's only been 8 months.
Yeah.
The USA reality TV show is in full effect, and we get a different script every day. If I'm lying, I'm flying.
So before
okay?
before I let you go, let me ask you this: what are you predicting him? He got, a little bit less than 3.5 years to go. How do you picture America in January 2029?
If we don't, if they keep control of the House and the Senate, we're gonna be in bad shape. You got to think about it, bro. Somewhere along the line, just with the business cycle alone, we're due for a recession. Just in the general business cycle. Now, if you accelerate that, if you add accelerant to that, i.e., tariffs, right?
So
if you add that to it, where you got inflation going on.
So you think Trump's gonna fuck up the economy?
I think it's headed that way. Hey, let me do one more thing before I go. Hey, Ford just opened a big battery plant in Michigan, right?
Okay, I heard
it's
about
like,
it. Yeah.
It's like 21 football fields. You know what? They slammed Biden for 4 years about everything, right? Okay. But none of them talk about all the factories and stuff, the high-tech factories that came into the country are being built as a result of the CHIPS Act. And you know what else is going on, bro? We are getting our proverbial ass kicked in all the renewable energy. This clown canceled the what is it? Damn it, I can't think of the name of it now. They put on top of the houses.
Solar panels.
Solar panels. Okay, he canceled that. We're behind on the EVs. The largest EV manufacturer in the world right now is Chinese company BYD.
We lost Elon. That didn't help.
They were kicking Elon's ass anyway.
Yeah. Well, Trump has never been a fan of alternative energy. I think that's been everything from windmills causing cancer. He's never been a fan. I mean, he said a whole lot of negative shit about e-vehicles until Elon gave him $350 million. And then when Elon was gone, he went right back to not liking e-vehicles. So he's never been a fan of alternative energy. I don't think I've ever heard him say anything about that. He likes coal. He likes coal and big oil.
And you know how everybody always talk about, every time Kamala Harris said anything, it was just word salad. Have you ever heard Trump talk about windmills?
They cause cancer. They cause cancer and kill birds. They cause cancer and kill birds. I gotta move it on, Trevor. I get the last word. What are you saying?
No, I was just saying that. I mean, take it to the guys up north where they got laid off that work on the windmills. He is incoherent bullshit is what he utters all the time, and they don't call him on it. Kamala Harris should have sued his ass. They should have sued Fox because Fox did the same thing to his interview that CBS did to the 60 Minutes interview. Only what they did for Trump was even worse because his answer was like 7 minutes long, and they edited it down to whatever it came down to.
I definitely agree with that. I'll speak on that in a minute. But Travelman, thanks for coming through. Appreciate it.
All right, bro. Take care. Yeah.
And I agree with him 100%. If Trump can sue outlets for lying on him, I think just about every liberal in existence could probably sue Fox. Fox is told. I watch a lot of Fox. I've been watching Fox 20 some odd years. Fox News has lied on it. Just about every liberal in existence. So if Trump could sue CBS for that. Yeah, I agree with him. Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, they slowed down the Nancy Pelosi interview to make it sound like she was drunk. I mean, they've done a lot of that stuff. So I think that nobody expected a president to sue a media outlet for being criticized or even ridiculed or whatever. Trump has always been one to push the envelope and do things that are unprecedented. Before Trump, the rest of it, because keep in mind, they were saying that Obama was born in Kenya too. They were all part of that. In fact, Trump as a citizen was leading the charge on that. I know Hillary Clinton started the birther movement, but Trump took it to a whole new fucking level. So yeah, if politicians were able to sue media outlets, there would be suing going all over the damn place. I think the rest of the politicians did not want to do what Trump did because they've realized how much it would tear down the fabric of media and everything. Trump doesn't give a fuck. But in reality, he's kind of opened up the door. Everybody should start suing each other. because left-wing networks say shit that's not true about right-wing politicians, and right-wing networks say stuff that's not true about left-wing politicians. They all do it. I don't know what Trump is not anything special on that. And by the way, what makes Trump so unique is he does it too. He does it actually himself. He has millions of followers on his own social media platform. So Trump goes on the media regularly and says all kinds of stuff that's not true. So I don't know how, other than people just bow down for Trump, that he gets to win a lawsuit for doing something that everybody else, including himself, does all the time. Trump has said a whole lot of negative things and stuff that was not correct about people in the media, up to and including them people eating cats and dogs. That stuff ain't true. I mean, he said all kinds of things about different groups and stuff like that. Based on what he did, he should be suit candidate. He should be a suit candidate, and he said a lot of it before he was president. So he couldn't even pull the immunity thing. A lot of stuff he said as a citizen, as a businessman. Anyway, looking in the comments, are you going to the grand opening of a $200 million ballroom? I wouldn't be invited to that. I would absolutely go to Trump's opening of the ballroom if they invited me to that. I believe they're sending out, because I'm on Trump's text list, 80810 and 80822. I get texts from the Trump campaign all the time. I believe that what they'll end up doing is telling you, would you like to come to the ballroom? Click on this link, donate money, and we'll enter you in a raffle. You have no chance of winning that. You have no chance of, because, when you click on Trump's links, and you get the opportunity and the liberals do the same thing. When you click on the links and you get the opportunity to donate, starts out with like $2 or $5 and it counts on up $1,000, or you can donate even more than that. Nobody that's donating $25 is going to win a trip to see his ballroom. That's just not going to happen. It's going to be all them big donors who are literally going to pay their way to the invite. So you have no chance as an average citizen of going to the grand opening of that ballroom. It's just not going to happen. Not unless you're somebody like, what is the guy, Joe, that went to all Trump's rallies? He's been to, 100 rallies. Somebody like that, maybe. But the average person, you're not going to that. You're not going to get there. Quotes like this are destroying the world. Damn. You think Trump's supporters are destroying the world? Because he never had the power to affect the system, also known as racism, a systemic tool. What are you guys talking about? Get rid of Trump, says Mark. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump is going to finish his term and ride off into the sunset as a very, very wealthy man. Trump is the government. And the government suing media and civilians for using their perfected free speech is fascism. Yikes. Yikes. All right, we'll continue on. Tap the screen, get the likes on up. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. You don't have to agree with the host or anybody on this program. You can be critical of the host or anybody on this program. That's how free speech and zero censorship works. If you enjoy that, feel free to follow the program if you're watching on TikTok or Instagram. Give your guy a subscription if you happen to be watching on YouTube, and smash that like button. Get the likes up, by the way, to 90,000. We might get 100 if some of you folks let your thumbs not be lazy. Trisham, am I pronouncing that right? Good evening, welcome to the program. God hate hypocrisy, remember that. I think everything about Christianity is full of hypocrisy. I don't know where it ends, I really don't. I mean, America's calling itself a Christian country while doing all sorts of anti-Christian-like shit, so I don't know. Trisham, good evening.
What's up? Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, sir. Loud and clear. What brings you on? What am I getting wrong?
Yeah, no, I guess I just want to explain, maybe with the situation, we'll take an example, like going back to the tariffs, right? And so you've got, in January, every economist and every expert giving all these warning signs about tariffs and stuff. And then now it's like 8 months later, and everybody's like, where's the inflation, blah, blah, blah. And it gets to the point with it where it's like, wait, who's really yanking my chain?
Let me respond to that real quick. Let me respond to that. Well, I'll let you continue. I'll give you plenty of time. But to respond to the notion that everybody complained that Trump's tariffs was going to blow up the world, and here we are 8 months later, and that's not happened. You do realize he suspended a whole lot of those tariffs. You do realize when he held up the poster board, the numbers that were on those tariffs, those numbers have been moved around, dropped, eliminated. I mean, when they made their prediction, it was based on what he was holding up. The next day, he changed all sorts of shit. Stuff been suspended for 90 days. I mean, nothing he has done tariff-wise has been consistent. In fact, most of his tariffs just began on August 1st. So it hasn't been 8 months. It's been more like 8 or 9 days.
Well, so I think you and I talked about this actually.
You're breaking up. Are you there? Electrician, you're really breaking up. You got a bad signal or something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me a little?
Yeah, you're going in and out. Go ahead. Let's try. Give it a shot.
Here, let me try to open this real quick. That might help. But anyway, so you and I were talking about this a couple months ago, and I said something about how actually the volatility was part of the strategy, and we were gonna watch them slide around a little. I think to get an idea of what the tariff actually has been would be the revenue collected, right? Because that's a real number of inflow cash.
Okay.
So we know if they're saying that they have collected billions of dollars in revenue, then there has to have been billions of dollars in tariffs, right?
Well, but I think the problem is a lot of folks do not know if you can believe what Trump is saying. Remember they said they'd saved billions of dollars through the federal government when Elon was firing everybody through Doge, and it came out that a lot of Elon numbers that were being released were not factual. So if you're only getting the information of how much money is being saved coming from the Trump administration, like you see what happened with the job numbers, where he fired the person and now he's put in a friendly. I think the problem is people don't feel confident they can trust the numbers coming from the administration.
Yeah, I think the Elon thing is weird because he was just kind of firing off tweets himself. As far as the job revisions numbers, I mean, it's big, but I mean, dude, come on, think of every presidency. Like, there's always once or twice every presidency, they're like, oh, they had a massive jobs number revision and so on and so forth. I mean...
Well, but do you know any other president that literally came to power firing people as much as Trump has?
Well, that's the other thing is, like, a lot of people aren't against that. A lot of people think the government is way too large.
Okay.
Let me throw a couple numbers at you real quick to think about it.
Okay, before you do, I get that people are okay with what Trump did. I'm just simply saying, why would you expect somebody who's been firing everybody to not have really bad job numbers? He hasn't created any jobs yet.
I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I don't know which number to trust, and B, I don't even know if an accurate jobs numbers report is, like, very meaningful because of what you said. They're letting so many federal employees go. And if I'm a fan of that, well, then wouldn't I want to know what the jobs numbers are less the federal firings?
Well, let's just say it like this. If Trump's going to get out there and say his job numbers were rigged, shouldn't he have to at least prove that? I mean, you said this woman rigged your job numbers. You fired her. I mean, she probably should be brought up on charges. She probably should be brought up on charges if she deliberately rigged the numbers. But should he have to prove? I mean, you can't just blindly say it's rigged without proving how it was rigged or anything. I mean, that's kind of what he's done so far.
I'm of the mind that every jobs report you and I have ever seen is at least a little bit rigged, right? I mean, let's be real.
I don't know. I can't speak on it. I've never heard a president. He's the only president I've ever heard, even the presidents with really bad numbers. He's the only one I've ever heard come out and fire somebody and say it was rigged, and then not prove it.
I can tell you the reason for the discrepancy, which is that companies are reporting a lot slower to the surveys than they used to. So I don't know what exactly that means, but it's like there are mechanical reasons for why that number would change. But I think that like every administration is constantly tweaking their jobs numbers.
I'm
Like,
fine with all of that, but when you say the numbers are rigged, shouldn't you have to prove that?
Well, I mean, when you're in that type of management, you get these large data sets, and you kind of have to decide how you're going to interpret them, right? So it's not rigging. I'm not assigning like a moral value to it, but you're always going to sweeten the tea a little, right? Like, I don't think that's really an insane
So you
thing to say.
believe that you believe that she deliberately lied about his job numbers to hurt his administration? Why would she lie about it? Why would they do that?
Let me put it this way. Do you know the year that the Soviet Union had the highest GDP on record? It was the year before they collapsed. I mean, governments lie about their economic data.
Okay, but I'm asking, why would she lie about it? What would be the goal of doing that?
What? Why would she lie about it?
I can see if you got somebody. I can see if you got somebody in there that wants you to get reelected or something, and they work for you specifically, and they lie and make it sound better than they actually are. She gave a pretty dismal number. Why would she lie and do that?
I can't tell you why she would or wouldn't. I'm just saying that I think jobs numbers are always kind of tweaked with.
These job numbers were really bad. This wasn't tweaked a little bit. This was really bad jobs performance. This was really bad. I mean, and like I said, when you look at the Trump administration via tariffs costing jobs, tourism is way down because Trump is threatening all of our, threatening to annex Canada and Panama and Greenland. Tourism is costing jobs. Obviously, the huge fire is in the federal government. To me, it shouldn't be a surprise that he would have really, really bad job numbers.
Well, that's why, like, the fact that it was revised down doesn't really bother me because, of course, as somebody who would like to see the government shrink, I would look at that and say, oh, wow, he managed to fire all those federal employees, and we still gained enough jobs in the private sector that it was a wash for the month of July, I think is the numbers we're talking about.
But that didn't happen. Where is jobs being produced in the private sector due to Trump's actions so far? Now, he's promised he's going to bring back manufacturing, but in his first 7 months in office, ain't nobody hiring because of Trump. There's no jobs are being created based on anything he's doing in his first 7 months. It could happen in the future via tariffs or whatever he's doing, but his first 7 months have been nothing but sheer job losses.
So, I guess, two things real quick. And the first one I'll say is this is where the rubber really meets the road on, like, why do I either not believe in or not care about the jobs report? Which is, I work in manufacturing. I repair and install industrial machinery in the state I live in. And, like, everybody I know is hiring, adding shifts, giving people overtime, installing equipment, running old equipment more. Capital expenditure budgets are bigger than they've ever been. So it's, like, again, I go back to, like, who's the how can I look up and see all this stuff and then be told a different story?
Okay. Well, it would have helped if Trump, as opposed to just yelling the numbers are rigged, if he had a story like you're talking about where he could produce something where in this market, we've had a lot of hirings in this market, or this market's done really great, there should be no reason why my job numbers are bad. If he could have done something like that, as opposed to just blindly yelling this rig while providing zero information, maybe it would have been a little bit more credible. But after he yelled that the election was rigged and didn't prove that, it's kind of, when you hear Trump say something is rigged, you kind of just hear it in one ear and it goes in the other.
Yeah, I mean, he talks a lot, right? So that's
That
why
ain't
all I
talking a
really
lot.
care about
That's actually,
policy.
that ain't talking a lot at that point. At that point, you're lying a lot. If you're saying things are rigged that are not rigged, that ain't just talking. You're lying.
Well, I think he's taking something that's a small truth, which is that these numbers get tweaked and fucked with depending on who's in charge of them. And so there's like a kernel of truth into it, and then he tries to blow it up into like this grand conspiracy. Like, that's for sure. But I'm also going to reject this idea that like these numbers that we get are pure.
Right.
You
And
know?
so next time, now that he's hired a friendly to do the job numbers, when they come out the next time, what are the chances he's going to be celebrating and not saying anything is rigged? All of a sudden, it's going to be the first job reports in history, according to you, that ain't going to be rigged. He's not going to say anything about anything being rigged. He's going to be celebrating it as the most jobs America has ever created in the history of the nation.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't give it any more credence than I've given any other jobs numbers. I think I've been pretty consistent this whole time in saying that, like, you know, I don't put a lot of stock in them. Again, for me personally, and this is really true for most people, whether or not they'll admit it, like, what the economy is what you go out and do and spend money on stuff. And if I see all my customers are really optimistic, they're making big bets on the future, they think they're going to get a ton of business, they're like licking their chops, right? So,
but you got to be, well, you got to be able to.
That's what I'm going to base it on.
Yeah, but you got to be able to trust the president. I mean, are we getting to the point where we just are starting to say we know he lies about things every now and then, or as you say, he talks big, and we just get to the point where we just normalize him lying?
Is that really that different from any other president we've ever had?
Wasn't he supposed to be not the typical politician that was going to drain the swamp? All of a sudden, every time he does something wrong, we're now comparing him to everybody else. He sounds pretty typical at this point, don't he?
So he's normal then. So he's not extreme, and it's not an unusual occurrence, and we shouldn't be that worried about Trump because he's typical?
No, he campaigned on not being a typical politician. So that's a downgrade.
Oh, I see. But so for you to qualify that, you're saying he's typical, right?
No,
so
I'm saying that he was going to get in there and drain the swamp and not be a typical politician. Yet every time he does something wrong, the defense is, well, you know, Obama did the same thing, or you know, Biden did this. You were supposed to be better than these people. You weren't supposed to get in there and keep making the same errors. You thought they were all pieces of shit. Now all of a sudden you're fucking up and you keep saying, well, he did it and he did it. How does that look?
I think that I said towards the beginning of the conversation, I'm more interested in like policy than the fluff of politics. So for me, the policies are not typical.
Well, if you're constantly saying Obama or Biden did, a lot of it must be. But because it's very common when Trump is criticized to say Obama or Biden was doing the same thing. So there must be a whole lot of typical policies in there somewhere.
No, the thing. So, and here's where I can cut to like what people really like about Trump, right? So the thing is, like, these are things that have been pissing normal people off for a long time.
Like what? Give me an example.
You know, we spend a lot of money other places. Blah blah blah. You know, we get a raw deal in trade. Just these types of things. And so, like, for my entire political life, it's been presidential candidates that, like, they say this and they say that, and then, you know, they get in office and everything's so hard and so built up and hard to cut through.
Yeah, but
we're not going to do anything. Hold up 1 second.
What's the difference?
So we can't get through it, and then, like, you get this guy, and on day one he ends USA, right? And then, like, day two he starts toying with these tariffs, and whether right or wrong, he tried to rebalance trade, right? So it's like he's a very active person, and that ultimately is what people like about him, is that he's kind of demolishing these things that we were told for a long time were immovable.
Yeah. I think what is happening is you're giving him credit for the campaign promises that he lived up to, and you're ignoring the ones that he failed. You're saying that, he's giving us stuff that we've always wanted that other people didn't. Well, people want the Epstein list. He ain't giving you that. I mean, he promised to end the war in 24 hours. He's not giving you that. But you're giving him credit for the promises he kept, and you're just, you're ignoring the ones that he failed on. I mean, he made a lot of promises on things that he's not doing too. And obviously, when you stated what he did, you didn't bring those up. So that's what I'm saying is that he just sounds like a typical politician to me.
Yeah, I mean, like you can take him that way if you want. I do think if he's not a consequential president, then he's living in a consequential time, anyways. So I'm not sure what else to say about it at this point. Other than like I keep getting this experience basically where people on the left, like not you specifically, but people on the left and commentators and stuff will like dump all these expert opinions and stuff, and then we find out they're wrong over time. And so then I, as a reasonable person, have to sit here and say, okay, but like they're obviously full of shit too, right? Yeah. So where do I go from there? And I mean, look at so I'm in Illinois, so like the Chicago city schools are like almost $1 billion in debt right now, and they're talking about opening school aid and stuff like that. And then come to find out that's about what they spent on migrants and stuff here. What if I wanted to be a liberal? What do I tell a conservative to make them not want to see Tom Homan go to Chicago when they find out Chicago public schools are short to almost the exact same number of what they spend on immigration?
Look, I'm okay with getting illegal immigrants out of the country. I don't, I think that Trump made a lot of big promises on getting out rapists and murderers, and then he went off left field and did some other shit. But Tom Homan has been given a job. I'm not totally adverse to doing what he's doing. I just don't like the fact that when it comes to getting rid of illegal immigrants, they're treating them like commit crime, must be punished. They're not showing empathy. They're not. I mean, because any crime that you or I commit, judges weigh all sorts of things before they sentence us or punish us. They're not doing any of that with these people. If you came in the country illegally, you must go. I don't care if it's 50 years ago and you've been a model citizen since. I don't give a damn. Must go. Nobody else gets treated that way. So I do believe that the way they're doing it, but you do raise a good argument in terms of money going to illegal immigrants. But I will say what I've said before. If at the end of the day, you stop sending money to all these other sources and you don't help the American people out, then what good does it do? If you're going to cut USAID or stop sending money to the Ukraine, but you're also going to cut SNAP, free lunches in school, then what good is it doing? You're hurting me too. That ain't America first.
Well, okay, let me ask you this, or let me present you with some numbers rather. So during the Civil War, the government spending of GDP was 4%. So it took 4% of GDP to win the Civil War. Lord Byron charged his serfs about 33%. Okay, our government today spends 35% of GDP. Our tax rate is a feudal rate. It's insane. They have to cut money wherever they can find it. It's not even about it's not about pocket change anymore. It's like there's a huge fucking hole and we're taxed higher than feudal serfs.
My take on it is this. We have 12 aircraft carriers, I think. The next largest nation, I think, is China. They have 2. I think Russia has 1. I think France has 1. Most countries don't have any. I think when you're talking about wasting money, the U.S. military represents the largest. If you really are concerned with saving American taxpayers and Americans' money, that's where you should start. Not to mention, we are basically funding Israelis' war that they're in right now. I think they said like 70% of the cost of what they're doing is coming from the U.S. taxpayer. We're paying for 70% of that shit. It's not a loan. They don't have to pay it back. So they're dropping bombs all over the Middle East, and you and I are paying for that shit. But we're looking at some chick that had a second kid and saying, you don't deserve any more food stamps. To me, you want to save money, start with the Pentagon. And then I'd be okay with engaging in this conversation with you. But we have way more military might than we can justify. Way more. Well beyond.
I was the ones I said before fucking JD Vance when we were dropping missiles and bombs on the Houthis last spring. I was saying, like, we can't afford this. We don't have enough munitions to do this. And we're going to run out of ammo before the Houthis run out of willpower to fight. So, like, hey, I'm right there with you. I think the reason that they're going to have a hard time auditing two specific institutions, the Pentagon and the Fed, is because if they start getting too close to shit, people might fucking end up dead.
Anything's possible. I got to move it on there. This is our first time talking. What is the name there again? Electric. Huh?
Yeah, electrician. Electrician. Sorry, that's a screen name. Like electrician.
Have we talked before?
We've spoken once before.
Once before. Okay, I appreciate you coming back. I do got to move it on, but you know my door is always open to you, man. Appreciate you coming through.
Later.
Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. And that's my take on it. If we're going to talk about saving money, but we're going to ignore the overwhelming amount of redundancy we have in the military, I don't want to hear that we need to have all of that shit to defend ourselves. We don't. We don't need to. I mean, nobody's fucking with North Korea, and they only have a fraction of what we have. And I would put an emphasis on fraction. It's barely even enough to constitute as being a fraction, and nobody's messing with North Korea. You don't need all the shit we have. No country needs all of that. That's why we can't pay for health care and all of the things that the average American could use, because we're paying for all of that shit. You know how much money it costs to maintain stealth aircraft and shit like that that's got to be put in special environments just to protect the skin of the aircraft? They won't even put you in a special environment for free to protect your damn skin if you came down with an illness. So that's where the savings are. If you really, truly want to save American taxpayers money, it starts with the defense budget, period. It starts with that. Trump got in there the first time, and he launched like 60 Tomahawks at Syria to, I suppose, some kind of ego or teach Russia a lesson or whatever. But we warned Russia ahead of time, so they moved all their personnel out the way. So he launched like 60 Tomahawks into Syria with 0 casualties at the cost of about $500,000 per Tomahawk. 60 of them. 60 of them at the cost of about $500,000 per Tomahawk. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse for some shit like that? It didn't get Syrians. It did not get Russia out of Syria. It didn't cause any casualties. I think it amounted to destroying some runways or some shit like that, or a radar facility. Just a waste of fucking money. And we do that all over the place. But we want to talk about the mom who's having kids out of wedlock and how her $500 a month is waste, fraud, and abuse. It's insane how misdirected our priorities are. I'm not saying that there's not waste in the entitlement area, but military, just getting rid of one jet. You realize how many welfare moms and Section 8 moms and all that shit you got to chase around just to equal one of those vehicles? Just one. Largest Air Force in the world belongs to the U.S. Air Force. Second largest Air Force in the world belongs to the U.S. Navy. We have way more shit than we need. And we're not using it to protect our freedom. We're using it to control how others enjoy their freedom. You want to save money? Start there. Looking in the comments, though. Isn't it funny how I don't need the government and my wife and children don't need the government, but this guy wants daddy government to use my money to pay for other people because they are lazy. No, you don't need the government because ain't nothing went wrong in your life. Maybe you and your wife did not work for some federal outfit and get fired by the Trump administration. Maybe your employer hasn't laid you off. You realize just because you and your wife don't need the government, that don't mean you won't need them tomorrow? This whole notion of I got mine, figure out how to get your shit. It sounds great until you're the one that needs some shit. Anyone, I repeat, anyone can fall flat on their ass. And that mindset is insane. Anybody can fall flat on their ass. No, you don't need the government right now. That's great. But anything could happen to anybody. If all of a sudden one of you folks came down with a major illness or got seriously injured, all of a sudden your after-pocket costs, assuming your health care covered it, might be enough to bankrupt you. Anybody could fall flat on their ass. It happens all the damn time. It ain't about people just sitting around expecting handouts. Hardworking people need help too. I mean, that's insane. Looking in the comments though, and somebody says, get a job. Getting a job ain't gonna save your ass from this shit. You realize how many people have jobs and can still barely afford to get by? As I clearly just suggested, come down with just one major illness and you will find out that you cannot afford the remaining cost of your health care, assuming you have it. There are plenty of people, as you say, get a job, that are working every single week, putting in an honest 40 to 60 hours a week, and either have piss poor health care or none at all. One injury, and they don't have the money to pay for it. Even though, as you say, they've got a job. Having a job don't save you from this shit. Don't save you from this at all. How many folks have been hit by natural disasters and the insurance companies didn't cover it in places like Hawaii and down in Katrina and all that? I mean, how many people have went through this shit? Having a job don't save you. That doesn't give you ironclad insurance from this shit. Could happen to anybody. Stop reading the stupid comments and read the ones that are actually challenge your argument, not this petty crap. I just read your comment there, Caleb. Thank you for the input. I just read your comment. I understand people may need help, but how long does help last? Years and years and no progress on the person being helped is ever made. You know, and I hear your point. I will say this. This is why I always say that there are legitimate reasons to vote Republican and legitimate reasons to vote Democrat. I believe that if you are wealthy and you do not want to share, you don't want to be a force to share, you should vote Republican because of stuff like that. Like you said, the Republican Party tends to look at the downtrodden with suspicion. If you need help, how do I know you're not fraudulently just trying to get money and live off the system? You look at the downtrodden with suspicion. If I give her some food stamps, she'll just have another kid and keep getting them. You look at them with suspicion, just like the Democrats look at the rich with suspicion. Now, the right tends to think wealthy people worked hard for their money. They all did what was right to get them. They don't see any type of suspicion with wealthy. They see them with the poor. The left, just the opposite. The left don't see a lot of suspicion with the poor. They see it all with the wealthy. That's why many folks suggest that the Republicans are defenders of the wealthy. Anytime you hear somebody being suspicious of the poor, it's almost always Republicans. When you hear somebody being suspicious of the wealthy, it's almost always Democrats. Anyway, looking in the comments, tap the screen, get us on up over the 100 hump. We can do 105 if you will. Rich live off the government, the poor don't. I think you can do it on both levels. But you absolutely can be rich and living off the government too. You don't hear the Republicans talk about that. They don't talk about corporate welfare and the rich living off the system. It's generally the poor. They are suspicious of the poor, defenders of the wealthy, and the liberals are just the opposite. Which in return cause more health issues, and they already on healthcare assistance, which causes more money being thrown at their unhealthy lifestyles. See, that's what I'm talking about. You just assume that if everything about the poor is, I just don't believe a healthy person could have problems. It's their lifestyle, it's their choices. I mean, view the poor in a negative aspect. It's kind of a no mercy approach. Looking in the comments here though, this is for you. God will take you back. Come home, repent, return to your first love. Run from the world. God will take you back. Let me go back to the box, tap the screen, get the likes on up over the 100,000 hump. Fucking Scott, I think the name says. Is that what it says? Fucking Scott? If it brings them up. Good evening.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What brought you on this evening? What am I getting wrong?
Well, I think what Trump has done, I mean, it's everything that he's doing right now, I voted for. I voted for the to be shut down. I voted for these massive cuts, right? So these are the things that I voted for. I don't think anything's wrong with people that are on Medicaid. They're asking for 20 hours a week. That's not too much to ask since you're sending your kid to daycare. So while your kid's in daycare, I see nothing wrong with the parents getting a job. Sorry. You want something, you're going to have to give something.
Yeah. And my take on that is exactly what I stated earlier about, I think if you promote the extremes, people will agree with it. But then the end result is that's not what's going to happen. I think that if you get Medicaid and you're sitting around on your ass, you should have to put in 20 hours. It sounds very popular. I don't see it necessarily see any problem with that. But what is likely to happen is not what he's talking about. What's going to end up happening is people are going to get cut and being told, we think you can work. And now all of a sudden that person is trying to prove, no, I don't have legs or I'm disabled. And with all of the firings going on, there may be nobody to reach for weeks. You may have to end up fighting to prove that you truly are disabled or truly are unable to work with a system that has fired so many people. There may be nobody to contact. I think the end goal is to cut people and maybe do whatever you can for some of them folks to just give up and things like that. I don't think the goal is to get people to work. I think the goal is to cut people from Medicare.
Well, I would say the Medicaid, right? Because Medicare, you put into Medicare when you're
Medicaid,
working.
whatever they're cutting from, the goal is to cut it. The goal ain't to get you to work. Because 20 hours a week ain't going to mean a damn thing. You can go work 20 hours a week for Uber. That ain't going to affect the government at all. I mean, they don't care about the 20 hours a week. That don't mean shit. That ain't helping the government out to any substantial level.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but I think that they should do something, right? So I know a lot of people that don't do anything and get that stuff, and I think it's not right. I think that they should get off their ass and get a job, and they should contribute to society. If we're going to pay for that, and I pay a ton of money in taxes, right, federal taxes, I don't mind my money pop out another kid. So that's the problem. I call it generational welfare, right? So everybody wants to call it generational wealth. I say generational welfare because you know what? You got a society where you learn, like people are learning to do that, to be able to milk the system the way they do it. It's taught. It's taught. It doesn't matter what race you are. It is taught. People do that.
Yeah.
If you want to get out of a situation, go ahead.
I think if you're going to attack generational welfare and want to incentivize people to work, how about giving them the minimum wage increase that they asked for? I mean, the idea that you're telling people who actually are working for a living that I'm not going to do anything to help you secure more rent. You're getting rid of unions. You're going to this right to work shit that is not in the best interest of workers at all, and you're not in favor of people. You should want to go out and work. Help them out a little bit. I mean, quit telling them no at every angle.
Well, the thing is, though, is that I don't agree with the minimum wage because that's for minimum skill, right? So when people are looking at these minimum wage jobs, I mean, you done it when you were younger. I mean, I was $4 an hour when I was
okay. I'm having Wi-Fi troubles or something here. I think I'm having trouble. So
no problem firing them if they don't produce.
I'm hearing
produce, right? And I'm expecting that. And I'm expecting them to do a certain job. And if I think that they're not putting in their worth, I eliminate them and I replace them.
Yeah.
All
All I'm hearing, I'm going to say, all I'm hearing is basically, and I say this all the time with the Republican Party, all I'm hearing is don't ask me for shit. Everywhere where they need your help, you're meeting them with a wall. I mean, you're pretty much telling them, I'm not going to do anything for you at all. No matter what you ask for, I have a reason for why you shouldn't get it. Whether you're working or not working. I mean, everywhere they look, they're being met with a wall. Are you there?
Well, I don't think I don't think that they're hitting a wall. The thing is that if you increase somebody's pay, the companies are going to demand a better result, right? So if a company's pay more money for a set employee, they're going to have to produce like they're making that kind of money. If they're not going to produce and they want more money on that, it's not for them. It's just, and then,
but
even if I eliminate them, I move on, and I find the next guy.
Yeah, but even if they can show that they're producing and they're getting underpaid, you're not going to help them out either. You're going to just tell them, well, you should go find another job. I mean, no matter where they turn, if they look to you for help, your answer is going to be.
We do that all the time.
Huh?
Well, no, we do that all the time.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
Incentives. So if they do above and beyond, some of my guys.
That ain't what I'm talking. I'm talking about through legislation. I'm not talking about person. I'm talking about through laws. What kind of laws are you doing to help people out? Laws, not just doing it on your own at the job site. What kind of laws are you doing to help people out?
As far as the company.
Yeah,
so as far as the company goes, our company does do that. If we do very well, we take care of the employees and we pay them. We want them there because obviously they're doing a great job.
Yeah, but you're not going to do anything if a company decides they're not going to do that. You're not helping the people out, is what I'm saying. That the average employee, when they turn to the Republican Party, you're pretty much saying don't ask us for shit. If you're not working, don't ask us for shit. If you are working, don't ask us for shit. You're not passing any laws to help out the people at the bottom.
It comes down to, and I might be old school because you know what? I worked my way up to where I'm at today. I've been with the same company 25 years. So I am higher up in management. So I see a lot of the things that go on, but the people today expect more money with bare minimum work. And that's what I see because believe me, I fired so many people last year and I went through a recycle because it just wasn't up to what they needed to be. You don't mind paying the money, but I'm not going to invest in somebody that's not doing what I think.
Yeah, this is why I keep saying that you guys are suspicious of the downtrodden. You do realize plenty of people in the lower income earners. There are plenty of hardworking people at that level that don't get paid the money they deserve. You do realize that everybody getting paid pennies are not just lazy. There are some people that are really producing and they just work for a shit company that ain't paying them. You do realize that happens, right?
And that's right. I mean, and if they have hard work and they're actually a good employee, then it's merit that job, right? So if you have a skill and you know you can get more money, there are jobs that are lined up in that field to be able to hire you more than what you're making now because they want the skilled labor. They want a skilled person. So if you feel that company's not paying you what they should pay, you can quit at any time.
Right, and that's the point I'm making is that you basically are saying, as a low-income earner, the Republican Party ain't going to do nothing for you at all. You need to figure it out. If they're mistreating you or not paying you, you need to figure it out. If you need a minimum wage, they're meeting a wall no matter where they come to you. If they lose their job, you're not in favor of giving them entitlements and help. I mean, everywhere they look, it's a don't ask me for shit mentality. That's why I keep saying that. There's nothing you're talking about doing for the downtrodden. All of the stuff you talk about is, well, I don't want to give them a minimum wage increase because it might hurt small business. You're looking out for the businesses. You're not looking out for the employee at any level. It's up to them to figure it out because you're not going to pass any laws or favor any laws that help them out at all.
Yeah, I don't think throwing a blanket
Give me an example. Prove me wrong. Give me an example.
$15 to $15 an hour. I don't want to go to a Burger King or a McDonald's and have to pay, $20 for a cheeseburger meal because somebody's making $25 an hour at that McDonald's. That's not what those jobs were for. Those jobs were starter jobs for you to get into the field. I mean, I worked at a McDonald's when I was younger. I made $4 an hour, but I got out of that because that's not what I wanted to do. It was to put money into my pocket as I grew older to be able to figure out what I wanted to do, what skill I wanted to do, so I went into construction. Yeah. So that's where you make a ton of money. I mean, that's.
Yeah, but I don't think you're disagreeing with me when I say don't ask me for shit. You're just giving me a reason why you don't want to give me shit. Like you said, I don't want a burger to cost more. I mean, you're telling the person that want minimum wage, I'm not going to give it to you, and this is why. But at the end of the day, it's don't ask me for shit. You just have reasons why you're not doing it. I mean, and by the way, keep in mind when we talk about burger flipping jobs, there's a whole lot of other jobs. When we talk about raising minimum wage, everybody goes to burger flipping. But when we talk about going from $7 an hour to $15 an hour, there's a whole lot of jobs that cover that are not burger flipping jobs. I mean, you could be a school bus driver, which is a job that requires you get a CDL that makes less than $15 an hour in places. You could be a CNA that makes less than in some places. Security guards, factory workers. It ain't all just teenagers flipping burgers. It's grown people with kids and responsibilities. They're paying like that too.
I mean, I just don't think raising that would help anybody, right? So all it is a temporary fix, is what it is because things are going to go up, and people are going to complain because things are too high. Then they're going to blame Trump why things are so high, and that's exactly what happens. They blame him for everything. It doesn't matter what he goes on here. I mean, I think his 7 months has been fantastic. I think it has been. I think we voted for everything that we got. I would not change my vote at all. I would not change my vote at all. I mean, and I just think, and you put up a bad candidate too, in Kamala Harris. I mean, she wasn't one that was nominated by the people. She was injected by the Democratic Party. They didn't give the voters a choice of who they wanted there. She couldn't even make 2% of the vote when she was running the first time.
I don't disagree with that, but I wanted to say,
tell you, sorry, that's who you're going to vote for.
Yeah, I don't.
When they knew Joe Biden was.
I don't disagree that they put Kamala Harris up there, but I don't know if you realize it or not, but the Republican Party did the same thing with Trump. There were 4 candidates that wanted to primary Trump, and several states just gave them their electoral votes and never gave the people a right to say. In fact, I think 1 or 2 of them tried to sue. But the Republican Party did the same thing. It just didn't get covered as much. But there were candidates that wanted to primary Trump, and they just got silenced by the Republican Party. It happened on your side as well.
Well, he also went through voting, right? So he went through a lot of states. So even if there was a couple states that might have not, he blew them right out of the water.
It doesn't matter. They have a right to run against them. They actually.
Oh, I agree with you, but I mean, some Republicans, I mean, honestly, I was a little disappointed in a couple of Republicans that decided to run, like DeSantis. I think it wasn't his time. I think.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you want to run against Trump, and the state of Kansas just simply says we're going to give our electoral votes to Trump, we're not even going to hold an election. That's what they did to these people. They didn't even give them a chance to have an opportunity to even campaign. They just said ahead of time, we're just going to give our electoral votes to Trump, and we're not going to let you run. That happened on your side.
I don't remember that. I don't know what states did that, right? So I mean, all I know is he went through the process. He went through and had Nikki Haley, and I mean a lot of these other candidates like DeSantis. I mean, obviously they dropped out, but he crushed them. Like,
yeah, they got a chance to. Yeah, but they got a chance to run though. I'm talking about people who actually did not get a chance to run at all.
Yeah, but were they on all 50 states? No, that's the thing. Were they going to be on all 50 states? I mean, if they weren't, Kansas was like, we're going to give them to Trump. If they're not on all 50 states, so they're not going to win anyways.
They didn't even give them a chance to find that out, is what I'm saying. They just, I mean, you even if they're not in the state yet, you can't just give. You don't supposed to just give your electoral college votes to Trump. You're basically blocking the people in your state from having any say so at all. The state legislature is just making the decision. We for Trump. We don't give a damn what our citizens think.
I don't know about that.
All right.
You know, I don't know about that, but like I'm actually excited about what's gonna come. I mean, you gotta remember it's 7 months. You're gonna see it. You're gonna actually put on that "Make America Great" hat while you're hosting these lives.
Not with that listen.
In the next year or so, you're gonna be like, you know what? That MF Scott is right, because he's gonna see the tax breaks. We're going to get the money. We're going to get some money, you know, where he's going to give it to the middle class people, you know, and I think, you know, and these tariffs, I'm okay with these tariffs because, you know, it's negotiation. He negotiated with the EU. So he's getting things done. He's getting foreign leaders to contact him about these deals.
I gotta see it affect my life personally until I see that, because like you said, for you think he's doing a great job. There's no way I'm gonna say that because nothing in my life has changed significantly enough for me to say that. There's no area of my life since Trump got elected, the cost of groceries, anything, where I can jump up and say he's doing a great job. It hasn't affected me at all. So I can't give him that grade yet. And I'm not gonna give him high marks based on what he's saying. It has to be him doing something that affects me. Until I get there, I can't say that.
I agree with that, and that's why I vote more conservatively. I think the conservatives take care of more people. I mean, I'm in the upper class. I'm not in the lower class, so I don't see the lower class. But it took me a while to get into the upper class. It's not like it happened overnight, right? So some of these people have to work hard, you know, and get that going.
Well, if you're in the upper class and you don't want to be taxed or forced to share your money with the lower class, you kind of have a mentality of, don't ask me for shit. You absolutely should be voting for Trump. So I agree with that. That makes sense that you're in upper class. I mean, we having a conversation. Because you're not worried about falling flat on your face and needing help or any of that. I mean, it makes sense that you would vote for Trump. Now, my opinion, based on what you're saying, you should vote for Trump. It does fall in line with what your interests are. But I do got to move it on. I appreciate you coming in.
All right, good seeing you.
Always. Thank you. All right, moving on with the program. No one voted for kidnapping our community members off the street. Damn. No one voted for reinstating child labor. No one voted for these tariffs, these taxes. Well, he said he voted for the tariffs. I don't think people care about the kidnapping stuff. I think that one of the issues that Trump is able to enjoy is that a large amount of the American constituents that voted for Trump have a mentality of, yeah, that doesn't look good, but as long as it's not happening to me, I don't care. Predominantly the Hispanic community, absolutely. When he won the Venezuelan and the Cubano vote, Trump won the Hispanic male vote, it was a whole lot of, yeah, as long as that don't happen to me. There is no way in hell those people would have voted for Trump if they knew he would be hanging around Home Depots and all. No. It was a whole matter of, look, as a Cubano, as a Venezuelan immigrant, I have TPS, temporary protected status. As a Hispanic, I have a green card. So I don't have to worry about it happening to me. As a Hispanic, my mom, even though my mom was illegal, I was born in the country, so I have birthright citizenship. It ain't gonna happen to me. They voted for this on the guise that it was gonna happen to other people, not them. There's no way in hell they ever expected Trump to start taking away green cards, ending TPS. Now, the asylum claims, they kind of felt that might happen. The Venezuelans and Cubanos never thought Trump would do that to them. It was a matter of you can do that to the Mexicans or the Nicaraguans or the folks from Guatemala. Yeah, too bad, so sad. I'm from Venezuela. I'm from Cuba. I'm from Cuba. I'm safe. A lot of people voted for shit based on that. It ain't happening to me. So that's what ended up happening, in my opinion. Is everybody voted for, and it's still happening. How many? Think about how many people work for the federal government that voted for Trump. It ain't gonna happen. He made it clear I'm cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, but it ain't gonna happen to me until all of a sudden Elon Musk is on your internet or intranet telling you you're fired. It was okay until it started happening to them. Whole lot of people that voted for Trump voted for him based on you're doing that to them. I would submit to you this. Federalizing Washington, D.C. is a perfect example of that. It's fine. It ain't going to happen in my town. Law enforcement, wearing masks, not identifying themselves. Well, I ain't got to deal with one of them kind of cops. It's okay when it happens to other people. If you start pulling over the average American wearing a mask and not identifying yourself, you'll find a whole lot more Americans would care about that. But because it's happening to other people and not them, they're okay with it. Same thing, like I said, with Washington, D.C. being federalized. You don't want military personnel and shit in your town, but I don't live in D.C., so it's cool. That's what's happening. Everybody's okay with this shit because it's happening to other people. Anyway, look at it in the comments real quick before we continue on. Tap the screen. Get your boy on up to 115. We can make that happen if you let your thumbs not be lazy. They love to hide their faces. Now it's masks. Before it was sheets and hoods. Damn, Mike. Yikes. You said ICE loves to hide their face. Before it was sheets and it was before you said, what do you say again? It was now it's masks. Before it was sheets and hoods. That's a pretty graphic picture you're painting there. I think it's pretty easy to interpret that. SWAT team has always wore masks, so why can't ICE? SWAT team is a special unit. You know, you can't put ICE in the same. You know, you don't have SWAT team members hanging around Home Depot. Really? You trying to? SWAT team only represents a handful of guys in most towns. Not a whole fucking. No. Now, and by the way, the SWAT team don't always wear masks either. I mean, they got snipers and shit. They don't always wear masks. No nameplates or anything like that. The SWAT team is called out for special operations. You got ICE now doing everything from profiling to just grabbing people and demanding they prove they have citizenship. No, I'm not a fan of the mask and stuff like that. I get that folks are saying, listen, the law enforcement, the ICE, immigration officials, they're getting death threats, their family is being threatened and things like that. So they can't identify themselves because, their safety is at risk. Okay. But what about the folks that are mistreated by the members of ICE that now have no name or identification to report so that they can get justice for maybe getting their ass kicked wrong or being wrongfully detained? We are literally putting the safety of the police department above the public. That ain't how it's supposed to work. The government's supposed to work for us. We don't supposed to work for the fucking government. That's backwards. We're now in a situation where some members of law enforcement have the ability to enjoy zero accountability. Guy walks up to you, no name tag, his face is covered, and socks your ass in the face because you didn't get out of the car fast enough. Who are you going to file the complaint against? You have no name at all. Some dude in jeans and a mask hit me in the face. That's going nowhere. We've put the safety of the cops above the citizens. Cops absolutely do wrong shit. So why should they get look, if you don't want to be in a dangerous position, then don't enlist in the police department. I mean, you don't even let the dudes roam around and rock without wearing name tags and uniforms and shit. But he needs one in San Jose? Really? No, I don't buy that. Look, if you don't want to do this job, you don't do the job. I mean, there's dangers that come with working in any form of law enforcement. You want to give them all masked? No, I don't favor that. Don't know why anybody thinks illegals should have more rights than citizens. It's called illegal for a reason. Well, illegals don't have more rights than citizens. What right are you suggesting that illegals have that a citizen doesn't have? They don't even have as many rights as citizens. More? What right do you think illegals have that a citizen doesn't have? I don't know where you're going with that. You're kind of making that one up. It's a whole lot of things I can do that an illegal can't. I can run for government office and things like that that illegals can't do. They don't have more rights, they have less. You confuse me, dude. All this cop ice shit is Trump. You seem to waffle or teeter. That is true. I do waffle and teeter because I don't think everything is good or bad on either side. That's why we have an uncensored program. There's good and bad on both sides, and I call it out. So it is what it is. Taxpayers are footing that bill. I don't know what bill you're talking about. The only legal citizens are the indigenous and First Nations people. Well, legally, that's not true. Americans think they have more rights than other free countries. Well, Americans think they got more freedoms than other countries too, and that's flat out false. That's flat out false. If Donald Trump won a Nobel Peace Prize, it would mean nothing in the future. I hate to say it, but it would probably have an asterisk by it. It probably, well, let me just say it like this. It depends on what he does. Let's say he really does something significant. I mean, let's say he really does end a major war. Like, let's say he ends the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and he actually does make a Palestinian state. Now, we know he's not going to do this likely, but let's say he actually did give the Palestinians their own homeland, and he made it into the Riviera of the Middle East or something like that. That would be something historic. Now, he's not going to do that, but, I mean, he still has 3 years plus. I mean, he could do something phenomenal. He could. You can't swear in the UK. You don't believe that, do you? You're telling me you can't swear in the United Kingdom? Nowhere in the United Kingdom can you say a curse word? I don't believe that. There's no way in hell I believe that. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, when you're comparing America to other countries, people base their comparison on what they favor. Like, America's freer because you can own an assault rifle. You can't do that in this country or whatever. Well, you can send your kid to school in the UK and not have to worry about it coming home in bullet holes in it. I mean, the life expectancy is longer in many free countries than it is in America. Happiness index is